It's going, excuse me, that's going to be. Let's try that one. You guys see all the words of the prompt, or is it is the words all over the place there? What's up, brother?
Everything looks good.
Everything looks good? All right.
Yep. I mean, perfect edge to edge.
All right. Got lucky and guessed on it.
Shoot, I mean, you couldn't have got it no closer. A fraction either way, you'd have messed it up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have a one of my followers named Jason. He makes some backgrounds for me every now and again. So I try to mix it up so they don't have the same background all the time. And Jason makes several of my backgrounds. He'll send them to me, and I like them, and I'll use them. So yeah, Jason, he does a good job with the making of my background. Sometimes he's also the one that made the song that I play on my TikTok. And then obviously, if I ever get into other platforms, you got like a waiting time for the show to start. TikTok just starts automatically. But usually, like platforms like YouTube or anything like that, it'll usually want to give about 2 minutes before it starts. So he created that song for me so that I can use that if I grow anymore and start to go on those platforms a little bit more. And so yeah, Jason's very talented. He does a lot of good things for me, and I appreciate it. If you're coming in, guys, make sure to hit the like and the share, and we'll try to get them pushed out in the algorithm, and hopefully we can have some good conversations today. Oh, Mr. Allen, I accidentally muted you up right when you went to go say something. I hit the wrong button there. I apologize. Unmute yourself. Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
I was going to say, you was talking about Jason.
Mm-hmm.
We was talking about the T-shirts. Wonder if he could make it up something for the T-shirts.
A design, yeah, and then you go through a company like Nine Line or something like that, and then yeah, the only thing with that is whenever you do screen printing or something like that, you need to have a baseline interest. If not, you could you could lose a lot of money on it because you have to pay for the screens and stuff like that. So you need to make sure that your interest outweighs the cost of the shirt. So you need to sell 30, 40 shirts in an effort to just pay for the screen print and the materials before you start making any money. So it's a great idea. I really enjoy it. But I think I'll probably get a little bit bigger before I do anything like that. But I like the idea.
Yeah, I like.
And if I keep growing, then I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, yeah, they get a lot bigger first. But I got confidence in that. Is why I mentioned it.
Yeah. Human ape. Yeah. Can tell what you believe.
You think the evolution is false, but the flood is.
Yeah, great conversation, man. Appreciate it. You're really intelligent. Way to communicate.
Hey,
Simple, what's up? How you doing, man?
So, can you explain why you don't believe in evolution?
Yeah, great question. I believe in microevolution. I just don't have enough room to put everything up there, obviously. So I believe in micro. I think that's testable and observable. But any other evolution outside of that, like chemical or macroevolution or cosmic, I think that's all inferred. It's not testable and observable.
Can you explain what microevolution is? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, microevolution would just be traits that already exist, like long hair, short hair, melanin. That would be a trait. You know, that you get African American people, white people, Asian people. All that is just taking a trait that already exists and either encouraging or discouraging that trait. Micro or macroevolution would be like going from one kind of animal to another kind of animal. An example of that, I think that the baseline definition would have to be genetic information gain.
Okay, but we have evidence, like strong evidence for evolution. So how do you
Okay.
compete with that?
Well, what kind of evidence do you got? I'll see if I can contend with it.
I mean, I don't got any like right now, but you know, science books and like the history and all. You know,
Well, I know
like,
there's a lot of
actual evidence.
claims. I grant there's a lot of claims, but I'm not interested in the claims. I'm interested in the evidence.
Well,
So what's the evidence for evolution?
well, that is evidence. You can look it up.
You haven't, brother. You literally just said we have a lot of evidence, and when I ask it, you said that is evidence. That's circular. You literally haven't given me anything as evidence.
Ma jebisi Boga!
Are you okay? Okay. Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it. Here we go. Got to get through the trolls. Very weird. Yeah, guys. The evidence for evolution is the fact that we have evidence for evolution, and there you go. It's a great conversation so far. First guy comes up and cusses me out, and second guy uses circular logic. So amazing. Mate, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Just one question. So, how do you think the flood was real? Like, what's your like evidence? You know?
What's my evidence for the flood? Hydrologic sorting, polystratofossils, dinosaur bone beds, soft tissue, and DNA fragments being found in dinosaurs.
Do you believe that all the dinosaurs were, real?
Well, yeah, brother. I just used them. They're literally my last three bits of evidence: dinosaur bone beds, right? Soft tissue being found in dinosaurs, and DNA being found in dinosaurs. So naturally, if I'm using them as evidence, then clearly I think they were real.
What's your favorite one?
Tyrannosaurus Rex, by far.
Because the biggest or what?
He's just cool, man. Look at him. He's had the head the size of a Volkswagen, dude. He was just awesome.
What do you think Jesus thought about like the dinosaurs and the prehistoric creatures? Like, were they like the God's creation or not?
Yeah, they're God's creation. They're in the book of Job. Job describes dinosaurs. He describes a sauropod dinosaur.
So why would they be like wiped out?
Well, all the animals that did not get on the ark got wiped out, but the ones that got on the ark. So they weren't like Job. Like I said, dinosaurs are mentioned in Job. That is a post-flood book. So that means that dinosaurs got on the ark, right? It's just that man probably wiped them out after that by, unaliving them.
But the dinosaurs couldn't get on the boat if the dinosaurs were like 65 million years ago. The Noah Ark was like what, like 5,000 or something? What?
Yeah, 4,500, close. Yeah, close to 5.
Yeah, close, yeah.
Yeah, and then the fact that we're finding soft tissue and DNA fragments in dinosaurs means that they did not live 65 million years ago. So therefore, I think that fits the flood model, showing that they had to live about 4,500 years ago according to the flood model, because if they were 65 million years old like science says, or quote-unquote science says, then you couldn't find soft tissue and DNA inside them.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm gonna go. Okay.
Yeah, well, hey man, so listen, and you left. I was going to tell you why I do this, but it's fine. Maybe I'll get the next one. All right, guys, do me a favor, hit the heart and share. Let's get me pushed out on the algorithm, and hopefully we can get some good conversations. That one wasn't bad. He just kind of left early. So we have soft tissue and DNA from people 10,000 years ago. Okay, well there is a margin of error on those datings. So 10,000, I could grant that. That would be within the biblical time frame. So yeah, 10,000 wouldn't be an issue. 10,000 is not millions; it's 10,000. So give or take a couple of thousand as far as the error, and there you go. You're right within the biblical time frames. RFE, what's up, man?
What's up, man? I'm a Christian. Just wanted to talk
Okay.
to you about evolution. I don't think evolution is false.
Okay. So I believe in microevolution, right? I think that's testable and observable. I just don't have enough room to put everything up there. It's just all of the different other types of evolution, like cosmic, chemical, or macroevolution. Obviously, I think that those are not those are not part of science. They're not testable and observable. They're all inferred.
Right. But I think through the genetics and through all, how do I say it? Anatomy, I think there's multiple science through adaptations and evolutions.
Well, I believe in
Such as the
adaptation.
background.
That's micro. I granted that. I believe in adaptations also.
Alright, man, that's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you, man, for letting me up. God bless you.
Yeah, man.
And take care.
All right, God bless you, brother. Yep. What bones am I sitting on right now? Goopy, I hope you're not going to go to the vestigial argument. Man, these atheists, man, they love the vestigial argument. It's been proven wrong so many times for so many years now, and they still think the tailbone is vestigial. You need to update your argument, brother. The tailbone is not vestigial, okay? It has a purpose. It's anchor points for your reproductive organs. This is so easy. I can't imagine since Google come out that people still go with this argument. The tailbone are anchor points for your reproductive organs. You absolutely use your tailbone. It's not vestigial. It's the craziest thing ever for people to think that the tailbone is vestigial. It's not. It's crazy. Update your argument, brother. That one's only like 20 years old now. How old did Noah lived? 600 years. Yeah, Noah lived. He lived up to be 900. He was 600 years old when the flood happened. So he lived longer than that. How? The flood, well, the Bible just doesn't say. There's a couple of things we can deduce was the pre-flood world atmosphere was different. We can see this, whether you're an evolutionist or whether you're a creationist, you understand that the historical atmosphere is different than today. The dinosaurs, or what we would say pre-flood world, had hyperbaric-like conditions where you had a higher oxygen content and more of a barometric pressure. There's a canopy theory, which the Jews taught that there was a crystalline canopy over the entirety of the planet, and this is what caused the barometric pressure. We don't know now because if there was a canopy, it's clearly down. It fell during the flood if there was one. Whatever caused it, the atmospheric conditions were totally different. And now, we can see this in the fossil record. Insects used to be huge, right? You had dragonflies that had a foot-long wingspan. Today, they get this big. You had centipedes. Today, they get this big. And in the fossil record, they got up to 8 foot long. So the only way that insects, they breathe through their skin. They don't have lungs like we do. So if you put an insect inside of a hyperbaric chamber and put the pressure up, it'll force more oxygen into their skeleton, their exoskeleton, and this causes them to grow a lot larger. It also has numerous health benefits. This is why the dinosaurs got as big as they did. If you bring back the dinosaurs like Jurassic Park today, they could not get as big as they once did because of the atmosphere. Hey, I can't see the rest of your name. I can't hear you if you're teacup, brother. You come up and then you went off the app. And I'll give him an opportunity. But yeah, that's what it. Dinosaurs are fake. They never existed. Okay. I don't know where people get this stuff at. I don't know how in the world you can find DNA and stuff that never existed. And he left. Yeah. When I say evolution up there, brother, I don't have enough room to put everything. So I believe in micro. I just don't believe in macro. Right? So there's macro evolution, there's cosmic evolution, there's stellar evolution, there's chemical evolution. So I don't have enough room to put everything up there. So I only believe in one, which is testable and observable. So that's why I just say evolution is false. But macro or micro evolution is testable and observable, and all of the other different types of evolution are all inferred. There's no evidence to support it. It's all inference. Looking for some ops, guys. Come on, let's have some conversations. If you agree with me, guys, do me a favor and hit the heart and share, and let's get me pushed out in the algorithm, and hopefully we can get some people up. Kent peddles these terms which aren't used. You talking about macro and micro and macro? See, this is it. I just don't get it. Evolutionists make these arguments that these are not the terms when they're literally created by evolutionary biologists. You guys should do a little bit of research. If y'all would do a little bit of research in your own field that you supposedly believe in, you wouldn't make arguments like that's a creationist argument. It's not. Micro and macro were created by evolutionary biologists. I can give you their names. I can't help it that you guys want to get away from that because it doesn't fit your belief system. Brandon, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, dude? How much do
Hanging
you
in
know
there?
about evolution? The evolution model, I mean.
I know somewhat. I wouldn't consider myself an expert in anything, but it's something I like to talk about.
Oh, okay. Is a hyena a canine?
Is a hyena a canine? Nope, no clue. Can they breed with
My,
canines?
I don't think so. Actually, they're not a canine anyway because they're a part of their own thing. But okay, you didn't know, so it's alright. If you would have said yes, I would have had a point against you, but you didn't, so I don't.
Fair enough, man. Well, let me ask you a question since I got you up here, Brennan. What do you know about Christ, man?
I know what the Bible says.
You believe in Jesus?
No, I'm an atheist.
Why don't you believe in Jesus, man?
Because the lack of evidence.
What's your all right, so let's like the flood, right? So let's look at the flood, right? The Bible makes some claims about the flood. So if we could prove the flood happened and it was worldwide, that would lend credence to what the Bible says, right?
Yeah, but if the flood actually happened, the amount of energy that was exerted would have destroyed the entire earth. It would have taken that much energy, and it would have destroyed the entire earth.
Okay, so the argument, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you know which energy argument you're going with?
There are several different kinds that would destroy the earth. So the fact that the earth splitting open as fast as it did for the flood to have happened would have generated so much heat that yes, it would have destroyed the earth.
So there's a different heat argument. So you're trying to say that the plates opening up would have destroyed the earth?
That as much heat as it would have caused, yes, it would have.
Okay, so expand.
Hydrothermic vents in the earth, but that's not enough heat to destroy the earth.
Exactly. So when those vents broke open, it was water, and water's going to help dissipate your heat. So the water breaking from the crust of the earth, that's going to help dissipate heat. And then, if you believe in the canopy theory, obviously you're going to have an atmospheric pressure that goes. Now, again, you could say you don't believe it, but this clearly is. We have this in amber. We know that the atmosphere was different back then. Whether you're an atheist or a Christian, the barometric pressure was a lot different, right? It's a lot thicker. So if you believe in the canopy theory, meaning that you have a atmosphere that's compressed within a couple of miles, the canopy breaks and falls during the flood. This causes the atmosphere to extend. that pressure goes out, and then it goes from 2 or 3 miles to 5 or 6 miles. That expansion is also going to dissipate heat. Now, there's another argument that people use about the rain, saying that if it rained hard enough for 40 days and for 40 nights, that's where I kind of thought you were going, but that's more of a straw man.
Well, that much heat that it would have caused would have boiled the water instantly.
Well, from which one? Which one are you talking about? Because I just showed you how that dissipates it, so that wouldn't be true.
Well, with enough heat, yeah, water does evaporate.
But where's
instantly if you have enough heat.
where's the heat coming from, though? That's my point. Because as soon as you have a pressure, have you ever had a can of oxygen that you use to, or a can of air, if you will, that you use to spray off your computer?
I know about the keyboard dusters, yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as you spray it, what happens to the can? It gets really, really cold, right?
Well, because
The reason why that gets cold is because
There's
it's going.
CO2
Yeah,
in
because
it.
it's going. Okay, but it's going from a high pressure system to a low. Well, no, it's not cold inside of it. It doesn't get cold until you release it out. And the reason why is a pressure differential, right? It's going from a high pressure system to a low pressure system. And that expansion dissipates the heat so rapidly that it gets really cold.
It's the CO2 that makes it cold, not the air itself.
Okay. All right. Well, I explained it to you there, so there wouldn't be a heat problem. I don't know if I can make you understand it, but there wouldn't be a heat problem, not with the plate tectonics. Now, if you're going from the rain, which is usually the argument where people say that that's what boils the ocean, is because if it rained 40 days and 40 nights hard enough to go over Mount Everest, that's just a straw man, because one, the majority of the water didn't come from the rain. It came from the fountains of the deep. And then secondly, Mount Everest wasn't there. So,
Hey,
Well, it did reach the heights that Mount Everest is at, though.
well, Mount Everest wasn't there. So no, you can say you
Well,
don't
it
believe
did
it, but
get
you can't
that
say the
high.
Bible doesn't teach it.
It did.
No,
Get
it
that
didn't though.
high.
Mount Everest, it did not. It didn't get that high, brother,
Well,
because
it
Mount
didn't get
Everest
that
wasn't. All right. No, it wasn't there until after the flood. You can say you don't believe it, but you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it. Bible says in the book of Psalms that as the waters went off the continents, the mountains arose and the valleys sank down. So the mountains arose at the end of the flood, not before the flood.
You are
So
misunderstanding
Mount
it,
Everest
man.
wasn't there. I'm misunderstanding it? What am I misunderstanding?
Yeah, the Bible says mountains rose from the water, not from the ground. That's the difference. The flood happened
says what?
because the mountains rose. Bible says the mountains rose in valleys.
Well, that's what I literally just said. So
That's
how did I
because-
misunderstand
Hold
it?
on a second. That's because the Bible says the mountains rose from the water, not the mountains rose all the way from the ground. No, they rose from the water as the water was receding. But anyways, the
Literally
flood
what I just
happened-
said, champ.
The flood happened because the moon was installed. Before the flood, we had no moon. The moon is an artificial satellite. It's not even a body of rock. That's a creation. And when they installed the moon, okay, you shake your head, but that's true. When they installed the moon, the flood happened. Because our
Appreciate it,
atmosphere-
man. Hold on. All right, hold on. Hold on. My goodness. Okay. Guys, I appreciate it, but that's not my topic. My topic is not the moon was installed. I don't even know about that. That's not my topic. Bond, what's up, dude?
Hi, mate. How's it going? I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. What you got?
Are you a paleontologist? That's a question.
No.
Okay, so how do you know that evolution is fake if you don't even study fossils, for example?
Do I have to study it to have an opinion on it, or to be able to read papers?
Well, it would help, wouldn't it? So you've read
Okay,
what
so
papers
if-
you read about paleontology?
Sure. Mary Schweitzer's 2005 article where they found, or reviewed paper where they found soft tissue. Her 2020 paper called Evidence of Proteins, Chromosome, and Chemical Markers of DNA in Exquisitely Preserved Dinosaur Cartilage. This was done in 2020 where they're finding DNA.
For 1 second.
I can give you the
what's her name,
degradation
just
rates.
So I can put her in Google. What's her name?
Yeah. Evidence of Proteins, Chromosome, and Chemical Markers of
What's her name
DNA in
again? Just
Exquisite.
remind me of the lady's name.
Mary Schweitzer.
Mary Schweitzer. Okay, I'll be back to you in a bit.
Okay. Yeah, she's a paleontologist. That's a really, really terrible argument. say that if I'm not in the field, then I can't have an opinion about the field. It's a terrible argument.
Is she the same paleontologist that died 50 years ago? So how could she write a paper on it 20 years ago?
That's just because you're factually inaccurate. Mary Schweitzer is still alive today, brother. I don't know what you're looking up.
I got a quick question. How is he going to get with you in a minute if he doesn't have a degree like you did? He's going to read the same paper.
That's a good point.
Yeah, do you have a degree? No. What's the paper? Well, I'm going to go read it.
Well, I would believe in people that actually have degrees in it. So if
that's an argument. That's an argument from. That's an argument from majority, brother. Just
why would I believe someone on TikTok who says it isn't?
Just contend. I got it. I got it, guys. I got it. You're coming in real broken up too, D. Real broken up. That's an argument from majority, brother, or an authority.
Which makes sense. You understand why I would believe in the majority of professionals rather than a minority of TikTokers.
Does that make it true?
Sense, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. That's literally a fallacy.
It makes it very likely to be true. You'd have to provide
no, it doesn't.
Some really good
brother,
evidence
if everybody in the world
after my work,
oh my goodness,
you're saying. No, trust me, bro.
I need you
know
to,
someone who's done something that's actually.
No, that's exactly what you're doing right now.
Out of 1,000.
Stop freaking out. I'm going to kick you. You're going to have to be able to follow. That's a logical fallacy for a reason.
One more time. Upset,
it's all right. Have a good day.
Don't worry about
have a good day. You're just too stupid. You're too stupid to have a conversation with. Outrageously too stupid. And I'm not going to go ahead and be stuck up here talking to somebody that stupid. I'm going to go with the logical fallacy because it makes sense. If it made sense, it would not be a logical fallacy, dummy.
Not according to his degree.
A logical fallacy doesn't make sense. That's why it's called a logical fallacy, stupid. I don't have the patience to deal with you.
Do you have
a degree? Oh my goodness.
Fallacies? I'm sorry, that just got on my nerves. Do you have a degree? And then he's like, I'll get back with you. Let me go read the paper.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, outrageous. I will. Your signal's coming in bad, too. I know you're probably driving, but yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. Come on, guys. Let me have some good conversations with people that know how to contend with an argument. Saying I believe most people... is literally, that's not an argument. If all the scientists in the world believed the earth was flat, it wouldn't make it flat. It's a stupid argument. Ralph, what's up, man? Ralph, what's up, man? Ugh. What's going on today? What's going on today? All right, guys, do me a favor and hit the heart and push me out in the algorithm. Share if you don't mind. Let's try to have some good conversations today. Still waiting. What's up, Carlos?
What's up, man?
Hey, you ever got
vodka salad?
It's not
Say
salad.
it again.
Vodka pasta.
My wife cooked vodka pasta. You ever heard of that?
Vodka pasta? No?
It's vodka sauce. It's a sauce.
I'm scared, man.
You gonna get tipsy after eating some pasta? Mm-hmm. All right, guys, we only got 10 shares. Make sure y'all share that. Let's get me pushed out in the algorithm. I got 91 people in here, and I appreciate everyone watching, but I'd like to be able to have some ops come on stage and let's have some conversations. Master Debater, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Hanging in there, man.
Hey, so I want to talk about the flood.
Okay.
So, I mean, just about every branch of science is going to tell you that, you know, the flood didn't happen. Certainly not in the way described in Genesis chapter 6. For one, Genesis makes it clear that all flesh was wiped from the earth and that the water went over the tops of the highest mountains. So we can't scale back to like a localized flood. It has to be a global flood.
It has to be a worldwide flood.
Yeah, and the geological record does not align with that in any way whatsoever.
Well, that's not true. You got hydrologic sorting, polystratofossils. What are you talking about? Absolutely. The reason you see the geologic column is literally from the flood. That's called hydrologic sorting. That happens in water.
We know that these layers of stratification took place over billions of years. We see new rock being formed today. We see new layers being added constantly. So that doesn't make sense. Floods,
All right,
floods
so
still happen.
you see this. Yeah, they still happen. And this is how we know the hydrologic sorting happens. So this is I don't have the picture that I had earlier, but this is like the geologic column, right? You have all of these different layers.
Yeah.
They're straight across like this because this happens it's called hydrologic sorting. So if the entirety of the world was flooded, then we should make some predictions that this will be all over the planet. And sure enough, it is. I can make a prediction that if you're on dry ground and not bedrock, you're going to see this layering. Again, it's called hydrologic sorting. Now, you just made a statement of fact saying that these are millions of years older than each other. Well, the problem you got now is what they call polystrate fossils. A polystrate fossil is a fossil that goes through many of the different layers. They're almost exclusively trees, but not always. But the vast majority of them are fossilized trees. Now, a tree cannot go through many different layers and be 65 million years old at the same time.
Correct.
If you have a tree that connects these layers, it literally means that these layers are not millions of years apart. So polystrate fossils prove that your layers are not different ages, brother.
Right, so that's just a tree that's kind of in the way, but it's not part of the stratification of the layers. The tree hasn't been there for millions of years.
Yes, it is. I can show. I mean, I hate to turn my camera around because it always pings me, but you can just Google polystrate fossils, and they are. Hold on, they absolutely are part of the stratification. They've been replaced by the rock layer, so it's exactly the same as the rock layer. It's not different, meaning that it was there when the fossilization happened.
So let me ask you, you see right there where it says Jurassic above your head, and it's got some dino fellas right up there? So you're telling me that those dino fellas are less buoyant than those Cretaceous fellas right above them?
It's not about being buoyant, it's about that. It's about where you lived at, right? So if I went to like Ripley's aquarium, right? I went to a big aquarium, right? And imagine that the aquarium itself has a water part, and then right beside of it has some land in the aquarium that the turtles can get out and hang out with, on the land. So if you were to take a dump truck full of rocks, sand, clay, mud of this nature, and you were to instantly throw it inside of that aquarium, then what would happen is you would see this, it would layer out, that's hydrologic sorting, and then you would find the crustaceans at the bottom of the tank because that's where they live. You would find the fish in the next layer because that's where they live. Then you would find the amphibians. Then you would find the reptiles, birds, and mammals at the top, obviously, because that's where they live. So the fact that the fish or the Cambrian explosion, the crabs, if you will, are at the bottom is not because the dinosaurs are more buoyant or less buoyant. It's because that's the area where they lived. So the crabs were buried first because they already live at the bottom.
But we have pre-Cambrian fossils on top of Everest. On top of Everest.
Yeah, that helps. That helps me, not you, Hero.
How do you figure? Would they have not been distributed in the bottommost layer?
Well, no, it wouldn't have been distributed evenly. So the way that they're distributed for both of us is it's not perfect throughout the column everywhere. We would both make the prediction that we would find, shellfish at the bottom. And then we would find fish, amphibian, reptile, mammal, bird.
Why?
We both make those predictions.
Why would we find shellfish at the bottom?
I literally just explained that, bro.
Because they live there?
So shellfish, yes, because that's where they live. If you have a landslide, even underwater, the crabs can't swim away very fast, so they're going to be buried first, right? Then the layers above that is going to be the fish. They're going to be buried next, right? So we
why
would
do-
both make the prediction of the thing, but it's not uniform all over the world. You do have mixing in places. The reason they don't call Archaeopteryx a missing link anymore is because they found regular birds in the dinosaur layer. So Archaeopteryx could not have been a missing link.
Every descendant is in the clade of its ancestors, so a missing link doesn't exist anywhere.
What? That would help me. If it went from one kind to another kind, it needs to have a link, right?
Every descendant is in the clade of its ancestors.
That's
So-
great. I'm not going to give you a definitional win. So if you think I'm just going to agree with that because you said so, I need evidence. That evidence will be
Okay.
the link.
Okay. And so, like, why don't we see giraffe fossils that date back to 65 million years ago? But we see
That's an argument. That's an argument from absence. So the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. That just means we haven't found it yet. You have to contend with the evidence that's there, not the lack of it.
We will never and have never found modern animals in 65 million year old strata.
Not true at all. You have found beavers, we found ducks, we found flamingos. That's not true at all, brother.
Show me a 65 million year old flamingo.
I think it's flamingos. Let me make sure. But I know ducks for sure. Let's see.
Do you worship the devil?
All right, so I just did a real quick Google, and no, come on, man, don't start asking real stupid questions because you feel like you're getting baked. Okay.
Well, I'm asking you,
right.
do you?
I know, and don't ask me stupid questions. No, I don't worship the devil, guy. It's an
Why not?
outrageously stupid question. All right, I understand that you're embarrassed. Hold on, let me a second. Let me go ahead and get my hard hat on right now because you're getting so demolished right now that you want to go to stupid questions, and because you're getting demolished, I don't want you to have any of the thing fall on my head right here. Safety first. So if you just do a real quick Google search, have flamingos been found in dinosaur layers? The answer is yes.
Okay, let me see it.
Well, you had to Google it yourself. Whenever I turn my camera around, it pings me for using an outside source.
Okay,
It
can I
literally-
Google that real quick?
it hurts
without
my
you
life.
kicking me?
Well, yeah, that's what I told you to do. I'm not going to tell you to do it and then kick you for doing it.
Okay, it says it belongs to a duck-like creature.
Well, okay, ducks too. But I said flamingo, but that's fine. They found ducks too. And yeah, they're going to say it's duck-like because it's supposed to be 65 million years old. I can give
It's
you
a different
coelacanths too.
species.
Coelacanth.
It's a different species,
Okay.
though. Do you not believe in speciation?
It's still a duck. Yes, that's microevolution. It's still a duck. And if you don't want that one, I can give you coelacanth. That's been completely and utterly unchanged for millions and millions of years. The coelacanth. We can still find it today. So if you don't like the duck, you don't like the flamingo,
right.
you can be wrong on the coelacanth.
That's perfectly fine. Some body plans work well, and they fit in their niche.
Hold on, because you just changed your argument in real time. I don't think you realize you did it. First of all, you said that there's been no modern animals found in layers that are as old as dinosaurs. Now you're just absolutely conceding that it's fine and absolutely true. So I don't know which argument you're going to go with because you literally just flipped it that fast.
You're right.
Make sure
You're
nothing's
right.
falling down.
No, you're right. I would say the majority of modern animals are not found in 65 million year old strata.
I would go with majority. So
but there are some body plans that have stood the test of time, such as certain crustaceans, some of your reptiles. You know, some body plans have filled their niche very well, but a lot of the body plans, a lot of species that we see today are relatively new, and we can see, like you can literally hold the skull of an Australopithecus africanus in your hand, and in your other hand you can have Australopithecus afarensis, and you can see the small variation of detail between the two skulls. And then you can go to Homo erectus, and then you can go to Homo heidelbergensis, Homo neanderthalensis.
That's shapes and assumptions, brother. That's just shapes and assumptions. So I can also hold up a spoon and a spork, and then I can say, see the ridges in the spork? That means it clearly evolved from the spoon. That's just literally me putting my assumptions on the shape and then saying that it evolved from that because they look similar. That wouldn't make it true.
But we understand how speciation works. We understand.
I believe in
dog
speciation.
Breeding. Right. We
Brother,
understand dog breeding and.
I believe in micro, so we don't need to go through micro. I believe in that. That's testable and observable. Let me ask you this. So we were talking about dinosaurs earlier. Are you aware that they're finding soft tissue and DNA fragments in dinosaurs?
I have no problem with that.
How do you not have a problem with it if we know the degradation rates of collagen and DNA and it can't get out to 65 million years?
Hey, strange things happen on this planet, you know? I mean, you get the perfect condition, you get something packed in ice for millions of years, you know.
Not ice.
You never know.
It's not ice. They're finding it throughout the geologic column as far as the soft tissue is concerned, so it's not ice.
But you have to look at
we know the degradation rates.
You have to look at the history of that region and see how long has that region not been under ice.
They're finding it throughout the geologic column, brother. So it's literally everywhere, all over the place, right? So it's not just one place that they're finding it. So you can say that it's an environmental issue, right? Secondly, we know the degradation rates of collagen in the coldest environments. Only the half-life of collagen, even in its best preservation atmosphere or conditions, would be in ice, and it only is about 130,000 years as far as a half-life. So that's not going to get you to 65 million years, so you still got a problem.
What is the moral lesson to be gleaned from a biblical literal flood?
God owns the world, he judges it.
So children are his to do with as he pleases if he wishes to take their life?
I don't do the emotional arguments, man. If you're going to do some crying or you're looking for sympathy, you can go do that on somebody else's page.
I'm just asking about the moral ramifications of
There
this
you go.
story.
That's the moral. That is literally. So what's happened is I think you feel like you've got dunked on as far as the science is concerned. So no, you're going to go to God is mean and he hurt my feelings. So I don't do the emotional crybaby arguments, dude. That's a fallacy. It's called an appeal to an emotion, which is literally what you're doing. So again, if he's mean and he hurts your feelings, then you can go cry on somebody else's live. I don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I just reject the conclusions that you've come to on the scientific front.
That's literally what you're doing, brother. So far, what we've done is conceded with the science. And even though I don't think, I'm not trying to sound mean or something, I'll let people decide who's winning or losing. I think I've contended with your arguments very well. And when you don't have an answer, now you're just going to God unalive babies in the flood, so he's mean. It's a logical fallacy. Because I feel like you're losing this conversation, you feel like you have to go to an emotional appeal in an effort to try to get a win. And I don't want it to turn into a contentious debate. We can have a conversation without, going there. I mean, we're going to disagree, and I understand that. But, going to God is mean, first you would have to concede that God is real in an effort for you to believe that he's mean.
Well, see, I didn't draw the conclusion. I asked you to paint me a picture of what moral lesson we're supposed to draw.
All right,
from
brother.
that.
I appreciate it, but yeah, I'm going to move on, okay? I don't do the emotional stuff.
Okay, well, hell Satan.
Yeah, nice. Good job, man. That's what happens when you lose a conversation, guys. What's up, Wild Man? Chase, what's up, brother?
What's up? What's going on?
Man, hanging in there.
Also, what he was talking about, like, the reason why there is fossils and stuff on top of Mount Everest is because it was the tallest mountain. So the whole world flooded. There you go. And there's nothing to cover that up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you. You agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
Hey, man. All right, brother. I appreciate you coming, man. I'm looking for some ops, okay?
All right. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. God bless.
You too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. User, what's up, man? User, you there? I muted you up because you had some background noise. So if you want to talk, you got to hit the little mic button. User going once, going twice, sold. Oh, just thinking, my man.
Oh.
What's up, just thinking? I see you changed your name back, huh?
I did. I figured you'd like that a little bit better. You know? Hey, let's get back on this flood stuff here.
Okay, so before I do, let's make sure that I'm going to. I promise you, I'll answer your questions like always. Are you going to bring up talking snakes and donkeys again today, or do we just want to go ahead and get that out of the way with?
No, you done told me you believe in that, so I'm not going to question you on that.
All right.
All right.
All right, what's your question?
All right, so all of these animals came from one destination. You had herbivores and carnivores and all that, and 8 people took care of them. How long did they stay on that boat?
Well, you kind of threw some inaccurate statements in there. There was no carnivores until they got off the ark.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah. You can say you don't believe it, but you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it.
Well, yeah, tell me where it teaches it at.
It literally said in Genesis, it says it gave green herb to all the animals.
So why did they, what made them change after they got out there?
The Bible doesn't, it says that he gave them permission to eat meat when they got off the ark. It doesn't say why, but I would imagine the environmental conditions changed. They probably couldn't get enough nutrition in the post-flood world through plants by themselves. Some animals obviously can, like elephants and things of this nature, but other animals have more of a niche, and they probably couldn't get all of their nutritional values met. But that would be a God question. The honest answer is I don't know why. I know that he did. And again, you can say you don't believe it. You can't say the Bible doesn't teach it.
No, but what I'm saying is you do see what I'm saying. There's a lot of holes in that book, that don't add
Why is that a hole?
Well, let's just say this right here. Let's just say that the 8 people that were on the boat, okay? I don't know what race they were, but how did they come off of there and then create all the other races that we have today?
The amount of melanin gets either encouraged or discouraged. This is testable and observable science. I don't know why you wouldn't believe that. It's actually very easy to prove.
Right now.
It is. Everybody on the planet, black people, white people, Asian people, Mexican people, can all trace their lineage to one female, meaning this one female, called mitochondrial Eve, literally gave birth to all the races. You are scientifically, factually so inaccurate, it's not funny. All the races came from one single female, mitochondrial Eve.
No, what I'm saying is I used to believe, I was brainwashed like you were on that book.
That's a great statement, but you want to contend with what I just said, or are you just going to breeze past it? Because your contention was how did all the races come from them? I showed you scientifically that they all come from one person, and now you want to go to something else. You conceding that, or you just
there's no way you can show me scientifically that they all come from that one deal. Damn
mitochondrial Eve.
Yeah, show me it. Pull it up on the computer or something.
Oh. Okay. Do you believe in that traceable DNA?
We've been so much. There's a lot of stuff. I believe in facts more than I do fiction. Let's put it that way. Belief. I believe in facts over belief. Like I can believe in the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus, but that don't mean he's really true, or either one of them's true, right?
Statement meant. Hopefully this won't ping me, but sure. All right, so.
Hey, Star, how you doing down there, darling? I see you down there.
All right. So here is the question I ask. Can every human alive today trace back to one woman? Yes, but only specific genetic sense. Read all that for yourself. Every life can trace their mitochondrial DNA, which is what I literally just claimed. Mitochondrial Eve. There you go, brother.
Okay, hold up now. Where are you getting your info from? Is that from Grok?
That's Google, but I can. Google. That's Google, but I can take you to the papers if you'd like.
mean,
There's plenty
you
of
believe
papers
it's all
on
facts?
mitochondrial Eve. I can take you there if you like, if you don't believe me. You want me to take you to the peer-reviewed papers on mitochondrial Eve?
Man, I mean, look, I don't know what to say to you, man. You're going to believe what you want to believe, and
it's a great refutation. It's a great refutation.
Huh? Well, it
It's
is.
a great
I mean,
refutation. Yeah. I bring the
I
science and you say,
believe
no.
like you did, till I woke up.
I know. And then, yeah, you woke up and you get all your answers now from a weight on a string.
Rock.
That's how awake you are.
On a string.
You see, the thing is, man, you know, I like you. I like you just thinking because your name is just thinking. You come in here and act like my religion is silly, but most people don't know in here that you actually get that wasn't a jab. You actually believe that. You put a weight on a string and you ask it yes or no questions. And if it does this, that's yes. And if it does this, that's no. And you say, I'm silly.
No, there's more than that. But what I'm saying
That's what you told me.
But what I'm saying is the silly stuff you believe. If that pastor tells you to give you your money, you're going to give it to him, right? No. Well, you said something different last time.
I'm not gullible there. I give money, but I don't give it because a pastor told me to.
No, I mean,
I'm not
you told me
gullible.
last time you were helping somebody else and they didn't like mayonnaise, so you just said to hell with them. I'm going to let them starve. Something like
What?
that. Ain't that what? Remember you said
No,
you give
I have no clue
something
what you're
to
talking
the
about.
homeless guy and the person didn't like mayonnaise, so you said, hell with it. I'll never give nobody nothing else to eat again because they didn't like mayonnaise or something. I'll leave it up to the church. You remember that?
I remember talking about giving to the poor, and I said you can, instead of giving them money, right, because a lot of poor people are drug addicts, it's just a statistic, and instead of giving them money, you can buy them a meal. That doesn't mean you don't ask them what they want. You can ask them, hey, do you like this type of sandwich or that type of sandwich? You can help them in more ways than just giving them money.
Exactly. I agree with you. But remember we got into that and you said, no, I'd just rather give it to the pastor. That way he can go buy him a private jet, multiple vacation
Is that what I
houses.
said?
Meanwhile, he
Is
sells
that
you
what
a
I said?
drink that you're going to get. Well, you said something
Is that
about
what I
you
said?
did buy something and they didn't like mayonnaise. And the person said that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
Did you not say that?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes, you did, man.
You got it recorded?
Well,
Yo,
you should have
are we
it
talking
recorded.
about-
You got it recorded. I know you got it
talking about-
recorded unless you erased it. So pull it
Back
back
in there
up
somewhere,
and-
but I do this a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
What I'm saying is,
Just thinking, you got any additional questions?
well, I'm just saying, you know, I understand you can't answer my questions, but you know,
Yeah, it's been so hard for me right now to actually pull up the evidence
do you
that I've
think
brought to contend with your nuh-uh. So hard for
okay.
me.
Do you think I'm going to hell? Let's put it that way.
I have no idea. It's not my place to tell you are or not.
Why? Nobody's gonna say that. That's God.
Hold up,
God's
Mark.
gonna figure
Well,
that
let me
out for
ask
you.
you something. If Jesus had to go to the bathroom and he was watching the gate, letting people in, he said, whatever your name is, creation, and he said, hey, watch the gate for me. And you let whoever you want in here until I get back from the bathroom if you want. Would you let me in or not?
I'd love to see you in heaven, just thinking. Absolutely.
You wouldn't kick my ass out, huh?
Nope. Why do you think I do this, man? I do this because I want to get the lost. Literally, I got two reasons why I do this. And if people's been listening to me for any time, they can put it in the comments. Number one is because if you're already saved, I want to strengthen your faith. I want Christians to see that what the Bible says is scientifically accurate and true. And number two, if you're not saved, I want to share Christ with you. Now, some people don't like it's who I am, right? I'm a little brash, but my man Jason said it and I loved it ever since. I'm saved, I'm not soft, right?
What I'm saying,
it just is what it is. Some people like me, some people don't.
You're believing in a place that there's no GPS location for, right?
It's in the center of the earth.
It's in the center of the earth. Okay, is there a
called
way
the
we
North
can
Pole,
drive
buddy.
down there to it or what?
Is what now?
Is there any way we can drive down there and visit it, or who do you know?
You think you can drive? You think you can drive to the center of the earth? Is that what you think?
Center of the earth?
What I'm saying is, you claim it's there. Who's been there to see it?
Okay. Do you believe in spiritual things? Do you believe in spiritual realms?
Yes.
Can you drive to this spiritual realm?
The center of the earth is where your soul goes to.
Hold on, Michael, please. I've muted you twice. Don't make me mute you again. So just cause. Just cause. Wait, hold on. Can you drive to the spiritual realm that you believe in?
No.
Has anybody been there? for you to tell you that it's true?
As far as I know, they have not.
Okay, so then don't hold me to a standard that you don't have yourself.
Okay, so we're both should be lying on whether something actually exists, right? Outside.
I'm not
this,
lying about it.
Well, if you've never been there, so you can't prove it, right?
It's not a lie, though. Lie has an intention, right? For you to lie is something there's being mistaken is not lying. Lying is knowing something and then saying the exact opposite.
Okay. If my physical body cannot go to this place, right? My soul's got to go there, right? That's what you're saying.
Right.
My spirit.
Yep.
Right. So if I'm a ghost or whatever, then how can anything harm me, whether it be fire, hurt me, or anything like that? Explain that to me.
I've never been on the other side, brother. I tell you what, if you do go there and I'm in heaven, maybe God will allow us to go through the void, and while you're, talk to each other in the void, just like the man that was in hell was able to talk to Abraham, trying to get Lazarus to dip water onto his tongue. Maybe you can tell me how it happens, but I can't explain it on this side of the fence. I don't know why you're going with this argument if you believe in a spiritual place, brother. It doesn't make any sense. You believe what I believe, but then you're saying that what I believe is stupid, and you believe the same thing.
No, here's the deal. I believe that our Creator is that loves each and every one of us unconditionally. And there's no judgment after we leave this place. There's the difference between what I believe and what you believe, and I used to believe the same thing as you, and I don't hate you for that. I'm just saying we all come
What made
from a
you change?
source.
What made you change believing that way? If you said you used to believe the way he did, what made you change?
Katrina, I guess I went inside and started getting answers from within instead of a book that I cannot prove who wrote that.
Okay.
Of some fable stories and stuff. I mean,
Okay. So you had something inside of you tell you that what you was. How long did you believe the way the host believes?
What do you mean something inside of me saying that? What are you talking about?
That's what you just said.
That's what you said. You said something inside of you.
No, I said I went inside. I went inside.
You went inside yourself.
Yes.
And okay,
Yes.
so and how long did you believe the way the host did?
Oh my God, probably majority of my life. I mean, I was brainwashed like him, indoctrinated, I guess you call it. It's for a long, long time. And I see the light now. Let's just put it that way.
You have a method that you can.
But there wasn't something that convinced you? I mean, when you believe something, you're usually convinced by it, right? You don't just start believing it.
Yes.
So what convinced you?
All right, listen to me. For anybody that don't know anything, do y'all know anything about what we call shadow work or getting to the inner child? And if you don't, then I can tell you how. But, if you know what I'm talking about, Katrina?
Let me ask you a
talking about the esoteric stuff.
Okay, do you believe in it or not, Katrina? I don't think creation does.
No, I don't believe in all that stuff, no.
Okay. So there's no sense me even talking then, if you don't like.
Viable standard. Just thinking.
Do what?
What's your falsifiable standard? How do you test that what you're going inside yourself is real or not? And how would you show me that it's real? Like, for example, when you stated that you don't know who the author of those books are, I can take you through textual criticism and show you that this is why we believe who wrote these, like Paul's letters and things.
Changed. You do know those books.
Can you give me
written many, 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 many times, right?
Sure. Give me an example of that then. Okay, give me an example.
Well, it just has. Just check it out.
That's circular. You can't just say it's been changed and then when
we actually have a manuscript inside of the column of the manuscript. A scribe wrote.
Google the Vatican.
Hold on.
See how many secret books are up under there. Which is history.
And we've had this conversation before. Right. We got to support our.
So you're going to tell me 66 is absolute truth.
You're going to support your claim, or we're going to move on. So, if the Bible's been changed, give me an example of it. Tell me where it's been changed so that I can look it up and see the change. I can
Well, I mean,
contend with some of
Mark
the popular
16,
arguments out there,
Mark
but you haven't brought
16.
anything.
Mark 16, verses 9 through 20.
You talking about the longer ending of Mark?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. Okay.
Yes.
So this is this is evidence that I can contend with. So the longer ending of Mark wasn't quote unquote changed. This is a newer phenomenon where people are using the Alexandrian manuscripts. So what happened is there was a cult called the Alexandrian cult. They went to Alexandria in Egypt, right? And they did try to change the Bible. And unfortunately, it didn't stick because the Christians didn't pick up the manuscripts because they knew that they were trying to change them. They took out the longer ending of Mark. They took out the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. These three are one. And they also took out the woman caught in adultery story. We know this because I can literally go to places to show you that they're quoting the stories, that the stories clearly predated them. The reason why they say they changed them is because the Alexandrian manuscripts is the oldest manuscripts that we have. So scientists go, well, if they're the oldest, that means they're closest to the source material. So therefore, if they're closest to the source material and it didn't have the longer ending of Mark, that means that later Mark was added, the longer ending therefore. But we know that that's not true. I can take you to the oldest manuscripts called Codex Sinaiticus, and you can literally see that. So when you paid a scribe, it was a very, very, very expensive process, right? The scribe would measure the words in an effort to make sure that it fit on the page, because it's not like today where paper doesn't cost anything and you just crumble it up and throw it away. Codex Sinaiticus was actually, they call it codex because before this they were scrolls. And so Codex Sinaiticus, codex is a book, and it's one of the first Bibles ever, quote unquote, written. They put it into a book form, and that's why they call it Codex Sinaiticus. And it was made on leather sheets instead of paper sheets. They made it on leather. So the person who made this Bible had to be extremely rich because he had to pay for the leather. He had to pay for the chemicals for it to be tanned. He had to pay for the scribe because the scribe had to be paid because this is a very specialty position. You know, most of the world was illiterate at the time, so they couldn't do this. And you didn't want to make any mistakes. If you made a mistake, you can't just crumble up the paper and throw it away. Again, it was very expensive. So you can look at Codex Sinaiticus, and you can see the place for the longer ending of Mark is there, like the space for it. So the scribe, whatever he was copying from, had the longer ending of Mark. He just didn't put it in there for whatever reason. But we know that what he was copying from had it because it literally fits in the measurable spots there. You can measure the longer ending of Mark and it fits in there. Again, they had to make sure the words fit on the page, so they measured it to make sure that it fit. And that's why the handwriting is so neat. So we do know that the longer ending of Mark wasn't, quote unquote, added. It was they tried to take it out, and the early Christians didn't put up with it. They didn't take it. And then you can see the other things where people try to say the Bible was changed, like the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. These three are one. I can take you back before the earliest manuscripts to where church fathers are actually quoting it, right? So we know that it actually predates Alexandrian. So thank you for actually bringing some evidence. That's how you contend with an argument. You actually gave me some evidence that I can show you that the Bible actually hasn't been changed. And when they tried, the early Christians didn't accept it. That's why the Alexandrian had to be, quote unquote, rediscovered in the 21st century.
No, you do know that King James kind of wrote the book of demonology, right?
Yep. And what did I say like last time? King James did not write the Bible, so I don't care.
Okay. Man, I don't say that.
Yeah, see, the problem is you think that you have this concept that the Bible is going to use pure, flawless people to do God's will, which means that for somebody that claimed to be what I am for the majority of their life, you sure never read it. Because if you did, you would know that Moses unalived a man and God still used him. He literally buried him in the sand. You would know that David unalived a man so that because he wanted the man's wife, he was an adulterer, and he unalived the guy and God used him. So the Bible is full of flawed people that God used. Matter of fact, it's almost exclusively what he used. And you're going, he couldn't use King James because King James was a bad dude. Your logic is just, it's not there, brother. And then you claim to be what you claim that you used to be what I am, which is insulting because you don't know it.
No, look, I don't. I just claim to believe the same garbage you used to believe. Let's just say that. That's all I'm saying. You know, I don't believe in goddamn stop talking snakes and donkeys like you did. And I just
there it was. What did I say at the very beginning of this right here? I knew you was going to bring up the talking snakes and donkeys. So here we go. Why did I say the donkeys and the talk snake? What was my answer the last 4 times you've asked this? What was my answer?
You believe them. You believe they did.
Well, why? Why did they talk?
Because you believe in fairy tales.
All right, man. Have a good day. This always my first question to you now is every time you're unable to follow. I've talked to you 15 times on my show, and you always ask me the same question. I don't want to sound mean, but I do really think that you have an issue. I don't know why you're not able to follow the conversation. Every time, that's why I started our conversation. I was asking if you were wanting to have that conversation, because you forget it every time we have it, and I have to answer the same questions with you over and over again. It's very frustrating. Patricia, I think I answered your question. Did you have anything else? All right. Ethan, what's up, man?
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right. So I wanted to talk about evolution, and I sort of had 2 kind of points on it. I wanted to see what your thoughts were on it. So you believe in a young Earth creation belief, right? So the Earth is only how many thousand years old?
According to the Bible, it's less than 10,000, I'd say.
Less than 10,000? Okay.
Yeah.
So my reason for not believing that is based on the observations that we've done for other celestial bodies, stuff like our sun and other stars in the universe, and how we've been able to date them, and using that to thereby sort of, make a good reason that if we have observed these stars to be this old, it's highly unlikely that the Earth is so young in comparison, obviously, unless God specifically created Earth while the rest of the universe was there. What are your beliefs on that?
That God created the stars with the appearance of time, obviously. So, and people act like that's an outrageous claim. God's not a trickster, but clearly, when you create something like Adam and Eve in the first you have to create them with the appearance of time, right? Adam and Eve were never infants. God did not give Adam and Eve a bunch of plant seeds and go say, plant these very quickly or you're going to starve. He created a fully mature planet with a fully mature trees that had fully mature fruit on the trees that never grew in time. So if you were popped into existence right then, you would look at the tree and said, wow, this tree must have taken 100 years to get this big. No, God created it. But clearly, if you were to look at it, it probably had the appearance clearly of age. So, and the amount of how they do the stars is just the amount of hydrogen or helium, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that they get in the star. So that wouldn't prove the age. Some stars could have been created with more. Some could have been created with less. If it's created with less, you're just going to have the appearance that it's already burnt through the majority of it. So that wouldn't make it older. It just means that it had less in it.
But are you able to sort of see the logic behind why people have that belief? Because it sort of like, obviously there's no given reason other than, yeah, he made the stars appear old, but why do that in the first place? I understand sort of like the tree example and the plants on Earth that you gave. I understand that, but doing that to the stars that are just out in the universe that really have no significance to us, I can't really wrap my mind behind that reasoning.
Start seeing his majesty. So God literally says he put the stars in there to show you his majesty. And that's amazing, dude. You got how many untold universes, galaxies, not universes, but you got one universe. You got galaxies, stars, planets. how when you look at these things out there, and every time I look at them, I'm like, God, they're finding more and more every day. Every person on the planet could own like 6 trillion stars, and that's just the ones that we know about. So we don't know about the ones that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, when I look at that, I go, man, that my Creator is amazing that he could do all of this. So, yeah, I don't see any problem with it.
Okay, so when you say like first measure, it's almost like in simpler terms, it's sort of like look at what I can do, and we sort of get to look up in awe at the beauty.
Sure.
Okay. My next topic that I wanted to bring up too is, so with evolution and with the idea that God created all creatures, what is sort of like, what can the reasoning be behind why he's created some of like the mammals that are marine life, such as like whales, dolphins, stuff like that? Because a lot of the like first ideas behind evolution theory, I believe, like also stemmed from looking at animals like them, realizing that they have these certain bones, such as I think it was something like, was it a tailbone that, or well, yeah, tailbone in humans, but with like whales, I think it was certain leg bones that we could identify that, but they've just evolved over time because they haven't used them, but they still have those bone types there.
Let me help you out with that, Ethan. So they say that the whale's leg bones are vestigial. So the problem is that for evolution with Cambrian explosion, then it went fish, amphibian, reptile, mammal, birds, right? So they got a problem because the fish were supposed to go to a load fin fish, and then amphibian, and then reptile, and then mammal. The problem is you have fish that are mammals, like whales. So evolution has to explain how they got out onto land and then went back in the water. Because according to the evolutionary theory, you shouldn't be able to give live birth or quote unquote breathe oxygen in the water, so it's a problem for them. So they have to go look for evidence to try to fit their theory. So they come up with stuff like ambulocetus. And unfortunately, and there's only 2 options to this, they've lied to you or they're ignorant on whale anatomy. Because what you just said about the whale's quote unquote leg bones is a lie. They're not vestigial. They're anchor points for the whale's reproductive organs. It has nothing to do with legs and has everything to do with making baby whales. So they literally just told people that these used to be legs, and people like, look at all this evidence that we got. No, they don't. Those are anchor points for the whale's reproductive organs. They're not vestigial. The whales need them. Again, it's about making baby whales. It has nothing to do with legs. Okay. And the only 2 options to this is either someone's ignorant, and that's not an insult, but I don't know everything. I'm ignorant about a lot of things. Either they're ignorant about whale anatomy, or they're lying to you in an effort to get you to believe something because they don't have evidence.
Okay. Are you more on the side of that it's just the ignorance, or do you also believe that there is a lot of purposeful lying done in the scientific community to sort of get people against religion?
Both. I'm not a conspiracy guy, so I take people at their word until I find otherwise. So I'll say it like this. If you're ignorant on it and you're just repeating something that someone's told you, because, if somebody tells you something and you don't, somebody said it best like this. I forget, a famous author or might have been a president or something, but I remember the quote. It said, anytime you read the newspaper on something that you are well educated in, you know how much the newspaper's lying, because you're like, man, I'm educated in this. They have no clue what they're talking about. They're clearly lying about it. Mm-hmm. But then the next several articles you read as to where you don't have a clue, you automatically assume that it's true because you don't know anything about it. So if somebody tells you that the whales used to be ambulocetus and that these are leg bones, and you're repeating that because you believe that because that's what you've been taught, that's not a lie. That's just ignorance. However, if you do know that those 2 bones that hang down are not vestigial and that they're anchor points for the whale's reproductive organs, and you're still telling people that they're vestigial and used to be legs, now you're a liar because they're not vestigial and they didn't used to be legs. So that's how I would classify that. If you know that they're anchor points for the whale's reproductive organs, and then you tell people that they used to be legs, now I got a problem. Now I think you're lying to people. But if you're just repeating something that your math or that your science teacher told you because you didn't know any better, that's different.
Mm-hmm. So final thing that I'll ask you is, when you go about trying to inform yourself more on scientific topics and such, do you try your hardest to find very unbiased sources, neither ones that are affiliated, but like known Christian authors of this scientific piece? Do you try to avoid, not necessarily avoid, but try to not look at as much as their literature, and you try not to look at as many like known atheist authors, and you try to find very middle ground authors for your sources?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason why is not because I don't trust the Christian authors or sources. Just, I'm not afraid of them. I'm clearly a Christian. It's just that I know that the atheists most of the time are not going to agree with my sources, so I try to use their sources. And then secondly, I want to be as educated as I can in the argument, because I don't want to, I don't want to be made to look like a fool. If somebody comes up here and I only use the sources that I agree with or that agree with me, then I could get owned pretty quickly by not being able to contend with the argument. So that's I do this. Sometimes people will bring me a new argument that I'll have to say, I haven't heard about that. Let me look into it. And I like that.
All right. Awesome. Well, it was great talking to you.
Let me thank you, man. You too. But let me ask you a question before you roll out, man. Because the reason why I do this is, one, because I want to strengthen the faith of the Christians, right? Mm-hmm. And two, if you're not saved, I want to try to get you saved. So I had a good conversation with you, man. What do you know about Jesus?
Well, so I have had a couple of different times of trying to get into the faith. My first introduction to it was through my grandfather, who is a Jehovah's Witness. And as he was teaching me about that while I was younger, I sort of came to a conclusion on my own that I didn't really think that stuff was logical in what he was telling me, and so I questioned it. And eventually I sort of just had no interest in going to church or learning about teachings of Jesus, whatever. And then I get to college, meet new people who are faithful, and I tried going to church with them, but even still I come into these roadblocks, which it just doesn't make me believe. And so I can't force myself to believe, because you can force yourself to think a certain way, and it's possible that you'll almost brainwash yourself into believing it. So if I have to force myself to believe it, I'm not going to do that. So I continue to just try to educate, and if I end up realizing that, hey, this is the truth, then I will hopefully accept that as truth. But in terms of Jesus, I don't believe, my current belief is that he was a religious figure. He existed. I believe he existed. I do not believe that any of the resurrection happened. I don't believe he was able to do any of the miracles that are spoken of. But I also try to continue to read the Bible and educate myself more, because you got to read the Bible if you want to be educated on religion. So.
Well, man, listen, I appreciate the conversation. Do me a favor, give me a follow. We don't have to do it publicly, but if you got any questions, man, I'd love to share Christ more with you. You're an analytical guy. You can follow the argument. You're not up here trying to push a religious viewpoint of evolution, so I can respect that. And if you want to learn more, man, I'd love to share more with you.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, man. Yeah, God bless. All right. You guys make sure y'all pray for Ethan in the comments, man. That guy's, he asks the right questions. He follows the argument. He's not up here going, nuh-uh. So I think he's honestly looking at things from different perspectives. And that's the kind of people that will absolutely, the Bible says, ask, seek, and knock. You keep asking the questions, you're going to find the answers. If you keep seeking the answers and the truth, you're going to find it. And if you knock, you're going to find the door open. So y'all pray for that, man. Seven Eye and Seven Horns. What's up, man?
Just a second here. Good. How's it going?
Yeah, man, doing good, brother. Hope you are.
Just standing on the edge of the shore here. at a lake in
Yeah,
Ontario.
beautiful. Nice.
Doing a camping trip. Haven't been camping in 12 years now.
Well, I like the hat, man.
Fortunately,
It's
been
awesome.
raining.
What you got, man?
Well, I do believe in Genesis, so I mean, you don't have to convince me that God created everything.
Amen.
I believe that 100% in my heart. Absolutely.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming up and telling us that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
You got any questions or?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, man.
Have a good
Appreciate you.
day.
You too, brother. You too. DJ, what's up, brother?
I'll jump up if nobody else wants to.
I got you. I'm here. Hey, what's going on, man?
Hanging in there, brother. Hanging in there.
Excellent. Hey, yeah, I came in a little bit ago. You were talking about codexes, which is great because no one really is talking about codexes on these lives that I found, and I think it's gigantic. I think we ought to be talking about them more. So I actually just had a personal question for you. What codex do you think is the best? Like that would answers the questions, or codexes, I should say.
I would
what
go
translations do you use?
I would go with the majority text principle. So I do believe that I'm a King James guy. I'm not a King James only. I'm a King James authority.
Cool. So that would be like the Codex Receptus.
Textus Receptus, but it come from the Byzantine, which is the majority text principle. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. And as far as that's concerned, what do you think about the ESV?
I think that a lot of newer Bibles are starting to use the Alexandrian, and I think that's a problem. It's not So let me tell. I'm not against any of these quote unquote Bibles because they all tell the same stories. Basically, they all say that Jesus is the Son of God and that you can get saved off of the NSV, the NIV, all of these things because they still say that Jesus is God and that He rose from the dead. The only thing about it is they'll put the scriptures in there, but then they'll put a footnote in it that says these were not in the earliest manuscripts, which is not true, right? It's just not in the oldest surviving ones. But again, we literally have church fathers quoting them, stating it is written. Like when it says that, Muslims love to argue the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, these three are one. They'll say it's not in the earliest manuscript. So therefore, they later added it in an effort to boast the Trinitarian viewpoint. And the earliest manuscripts that we have were in the 300s. But I can take you to the 200s where church fathers are literally quoting it and stating it is written, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, these three are one. So if they're stating that it is written and they're quoting it, that clearly means that it predated the Alexandrian manuscripts. It's just that the Alexandrian tried to remove them.
Yeah, I agree. Is the ESV an Alexandrian? I thought it was. Are the Dead Sea Scrolls considered Alexandrian?
No. Dead Sea Scrolls are Old Testament. So the Alexandrian is they're called that because they went to Alexandria in Egypt is where they started. So it's the Alexandrian style of manuscript. That's New Testament. I'm not good on. I dip my finger a little bit into the Old Testament, but I wouldn't be very knowledgeable in the Old Testament manuscripts as knowledgeable I am on the New Testament manuscripts. But even then, I wouldn't consider myself an expert in any of them.
Okay, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I love the King James too, with the Codex or the Textus Receptus and all of that. So it's interesting because I do some study on like the Book of Revelation, and so when you look at certain verses in the Book of Revelation and say you're doing a study on like pre-tribulationalism and you're using like the Alexandrian text or Vaticanus or Sinaiticus, it can definitely have some implications whether or not you're pre-trib or post-trib or mid-trib, depending on your translation. And so that's why I'm a big proponent of it, and I think it's great that you were talking about the codexes. I think we should do it more often, but that's great. That's all. Thanks, man.
And God bless. Appreciate you.
Yeah, God bless.
Hi, brother. What you got? Yeah, God bless.
How you doing, man? I just happened to roll past you, and I saw the prompt. Thought I'd ask a quick question.
You went off the app. I can't hear you when you're off the app.
Oh, can you see me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so I lean more towards evolution, being real. You know,
Okay.
just to me, I need verifiable, repeatable facts. You know, things that can be seen. You can look at a plant and track its history. You know, you can look at a human and see our skeletons in the past and track kind of how you can almost predict the genes in those bones and see what a person would look like today. What I'm trying to say is, I guess, is why is it easier, I guess, to think that God made it as opposed to, I guess, what us humans have researched and found? It just seems like it makes more sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm
that
going to
we've
say
kinda
the
come to
exact same
that
thing that
conclusion. Go ahead.
I'm going to say the exact same thing that you said, except I actually believe in. So no disrespect, don't take this as a jab, but you said you believe in things that are testable and observable, and then you name stuff that's not testable and not observable. It's inferred. So I believe in things that are absolutely testable and observable. Like the Bible makes some predictions that the animals will produce after their kind. Dogs will always produce dogs. You may get a big dog, little dog, or a skinny dog with different color hair, but it's going to be a dog every time. That's actually testable and observable. However, when I hear people talk about macroevolution, one kind to another, that's all inferred. So when you say things like the fossil record, that's not testable and observable. You're literally just putting shapes and assumptions on there. You're looking at the shapes and saying they look like us, so therefore they had to be us. We had to come from them because we look like each other. That's not how science works. That's literally shapes and assumptions.
Can you not take DNA from bones?
Depends on give me an argument to where they're finding DNA, because most of the arguments you bring up from the geologic column or from the fossil record is shapes and assumptions. But if you have some DNA,
So
we can go
like,
with those contentions.
Not even from like dinosaurs or nothing. I mean, like from people. If we were to go into a grave, take the DNA from a bone, could you not see, the gender, a lot of the other details, even up down to the DNA strands? Am I incorrect in that? I'm not professing to be a professor.
No, I got you, bro. There's two different types of DNA. You got nuclear DNA, and then you got like lineage DNA called mitochondrial DNA. So mitochondrial DNA you get from your mother, and then nuclear DNA are like the coding, like similarities and stuff like this. So we share, I don't like the word share, but it's what people understand. So we have the same code in us in monkeys, right? So when God wrote the code for a hand with 5 fingers, eyes, nose, and a mouth, he put it in us and in apes because we have the same structures. The DNA literally does the same thing. So there's no reason for him to write new code. So similarities in DNA would prove common designer just as much as it would common ancestor. Just because we have similar DNA does not mean that one came from the other. Now, there is a type of DNA that we can test and observe called mitochondrial DNA, to where if we did come from them, then we should share the same mitochondrial DNA because that's lineage DNA. And unfortunately for the evolutionists, mitochondrial DNA goes back to a woman, a single woman called mitochondrial Eve. It does not go back to an ape. It doesn't go back to a bonobo. Matter of fact, bonobos have their own mitochondrial Eve, and it was a bonobo. Chimpanzees have their own mitochondrial Eve, and it was a chimpanzee, and so forth and so on. So we can trace our lineage DNA to a human, not an ape.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not afraid to say I learned something here, so I'm definitely gonna do more research into that. I appreciate that. Now, I do want to mention this as well. Okay, so God is perfect, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Is that what we would probably all assume? Christian wise, anyways, God's perfect. God doesn't make mistakes, I guess would be the better way of putting it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sorry. Okay. I guess what I think the reason I believe more so evolution makes more sense is because of the wide range of variability of people that are birthed. So why do we have our wisdom teeth pulled, which could, if we leave them in, they could horrendously alter our teeth if they're not taken care of. Little things. Why are the birthing canals of women really not ideal for birthing? They're very small, and I'm not sure of the stats back in the day, but I would assume that it was you lost much more mothers. What I'm trying to say is, it almost seems
that's your
like,
argument. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost seems like the the way that we were made isn't even really suitable so much as for perfection. I guess that's what I want to ask.
No, that's a great question. It's a fair question when you phrase it in the way that you had and you're actually seeking answers. So the argument is called poor design, right? So your argument is saying God designed us poorly, but we were not designed for a fallen world. That's what you can say. You don't believe it, but you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it, right? We didn't have to worry about choking, and breathing through the, people's like, why do you eat through the same hole that you breathe in? Because if your food gets stuck, then you're unalive. Well, you have to understand before Adam's sin, and again, I say it all the time, you can say you don't believe it, but you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it. So we weren't designed to unalive. We were designed to live forever, so you didn't have to worry about choking in the pre-flood world, right? That's a result of the fall. As far as the women having issues during birth, the Bible says this is because of Eve's sin. You can say you don't believe it, but again, you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it. So we're in a fallen world. So it's not a bad design because the original planet that we were designed for was unfallen, and we were going to quote unquote live forever. So the design argument only relates to a fallen world.
Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting take. I never heard it presented that way. It's definitely something to think about, but you would also have to believe that God exists to also believe that, correct? Like, I guess how would you flip someone over that doesn't believe into believing? Because what you just kind of said, would mean you'd have to believe that God's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, absolutely. And the way that I would tell them is, so you have to have a falsifiable standard, and then you have to have a realistic standard. So not you personally, but an argument stating that God doesn't do it the way that I would do it, so therefore he's not God, is not a reasonable argument.
I get that too. No, I
right. You could say,
I do get that.
God could exist and be a poor designer, right? Those two things could be real. God could exist, and maybe he's not very good at designing. So then you would have to concede that God exists in an effort for him to have a poor design. Now, once you conceded that God exists, then I would say, okay, let's talk about the design aspect of it. If God is a poor designer, if we were actually designed for the fall, which clearly we're not, right? It's a sinful nature fall. Secondly, I would say that if you're going to say that there is no God and there's the dichotomy is evolution, then you have to give me examples of evolution. So bad designer is still evidence of a designer. He's just a bad designer. However, evolution, there's no evidence for macroevolution. And if there was, I would ask for it. That's testable and observable. That's not inferred.
Okay. I mean, you raised some good arguments, man. I can't. That's what I joined for, just to kind of hear an opposition. I don't want to be an echo chamber ever, so I appreciate that. I definitely have a lot more questions, but this seems like it's an evolution talk, and I'll follow and catch you another time. Okay?
Man, listen, I appreciate it, and I know you said you're not. I don't want to beat you over the head with it, but the reason why I do this is because I want to strengthen the faith of the Christians, and I want to share Christ with you, man. So give me a follow if you have any messages. We don't have to do it on a public stage. You can send me a private message, but I'd love to talk to you more about Christ if you have any questions, man.
I'll do that. Thanks, Andrew. Or is it Andrew? Did I get the name?
My name is William.
Okay, I don't know where I saw Andrew. All right, thanks, bud.
Yeah. All right, brother. God bless, man. All right, good conversation. Hey, Houston, what's up, man?
That guy's real intelligent. Go ahead, he's real intelligent. I like hearing those guys that listen. At least they're open to having good dialogue with you.
Yeah, man.
The last two guests have been really good at that. They sounded young and they sound like they were open to listening. That's good. So I wanted to talk with you about a little bit about, you and I have talked once before, it's been a long time ago, about where the Alexandrian text came from. Where they actually came from was from a guy named Jethro in Egypt. He found these scripts, these scripts in a pile of trash that had, back in the day, you got to realize they didn't have dumps and stuff like that. So trash heap piles or trash piles or discarded piles weren't just done with. They were just pushed back and forgot about. You know what I mean? And so this was found in what they called a trash pile or whatever. And he took them to Rome, and then Rome did their own stuff with it. Rome started changing what the scripture actually says, and and that we can go from there. But there's only really four cities that we get from the Bible is Jerusalem, Syria, Alexandria, and Rome. That when it talks about historical and biblical, things, and where the Syria and Jerusalem are the good things. You won't find anything in our Bible that talks good about Rome or Egypt, Alexandria or Rome. You won't find anything good in the Bible at all that talks good about it. It's because nothing good comes from it. I believe that, during that time, I believe that everything right now, as a matter of fact, is trying to push us back towards Rome, back towards, that's what I believe, that's what all these new versions of the Bible are doing. There's two guys back in the 1800s named Westcott and Hort, and they were closet Catholics who are they're the fathers and the inventions of a new Greek text, and that's where all of our new versions of our Bibles come from, is this new Greek text that they come up with. If you guys will do your homework, all of this is really it's out there for you to read, out there for you to see. You just got to do a little bit of searching and reaching into it. I am a new King James. I'm a King James only person. I will tell you that I am. I do use other Bibles to study with. I'll be honest with you, but there's you can find there's in a couple of Bibles out there, like in the NIV Bible, where it says that, or it's the North American Standard Version, I believe, and I could be wrong on this one, but anyway, there's a couple of versions out there that say that David ain't even the one. David and Goliath. Everybody knows the story, David and Goliath. They're saying that one of David's cousins killed him. They actually name him. I can't even remember the name, but that's how bad they twist Scripture. They also want to twist Scripture to where it says you got to be baptized to be saved. They also want to twist Scripture to where it says, a bunch of other stuff. Where we both know, you and I both know that we just got to believe, and we got to have. It just says for us to believe. And believe, that He shed His blood for for us, and that's where our salvation comes from. But anyway, you and I had talked before about this character Jethro, and I was just trying to brush up I didn't know if you'd remembered before, and I just wanted to brush up your little bit on it, and maybe you could do a little bit of research yourself, and maybe enlighten me on some stuff, maybe that you've discovered on it too. But that's where I discovered where the Alexandrian text came from. That's where they come from. That's what I've discovered.
You have early church fathers or early church members that are talking about like Codex Vaticanus, if I'm not mistaken, because it was in the Vatican. Well, there's a reason that it was put on a shelf and not used, and they talk about how hard it was to read because of all of the quote-unquote issues and problems in it. So again, I agree with you. This is more of a 21st century thing where people go back to these flawed manuscripts and they're like, oh, they're older, so they must be right. Like, no, they're older because Christians didn't use them. They got put on a shelf and never used, and that's why they're older.
They realized from 325 AD to 1520, you wasn't allowed to read. If you could read and you was a Catholic, they'd behead you. They would kill you. They didn't want you reading, and that's the reason why they didn't want you reading. Whenever they finally printed the first English version of the Bible in Germany, that's when people started enlightening. Some of the people started enlightening to what really was the truth and not what was being told to them. When they could get their hands on, the actual scripture and actual text. Because back then, you have to realize back then too, it was hard to get your hands on any text. You almost had to believe what you was told. It basically is the way it was. Back then. And I always look at that Sinaiticus text as that sin. And, so I say that's a sin, and there's some few other texts that ain't too good either, but anyway, I just wanted to chat with you a little bit, and hey man, you got a great live, and I enjoy you, and God bless you, and I'm praying for you, and everybody out there listening to this man. He's very intelligent, and not saying he knows everything, because we don't know everything, but you got a kind heart, and you're very humble in your approach.
I appreciate that compliment. I really do. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right, man. God bless. All right. I always enjoy the compliments from the Christians. Thank you, guys. Gets me all watery. John, what's up, man? John, you're on stage, brother. I muted you up because you had some background noise. So if you want to say something, you got to hit the little mic button. All right, John going once. John going twice. All right. Got some more time, guys. Do me a favor and hit that share. Let's get me pushed back out. I was up to 100. Now we've kind of slowed down a little bit. I'm going to be looking at the analytics. I've said that for a while. I'm going to be looking at the analytics to see if I'm going to change any of the days up on what days I go live. It's hard for me to count some of the days, though, because some of the days TikTok's glitchy, and that doesn't help with the analytics. But I am going to look through. I'm going to keep Mondays, but I may go from Mondays to Mondays and Wednesdays maybe. But I gotta take a look at the analytics. What's up, Ezra?
What's going on?
Hanging in there.
They got a new article that's ready for you. I hope you're ready for it. You're gonna love this. Now the claim is that the environment provided organic molecules and proteins that helped Luca, last universal common ancestor. That the environment helped Luca by making simple proteins for Luca. And Luca depended on these proteins and organic molecules in order to conduct his metabolism.
How do you get out of the atmosphere?
Yo, the problem is when you form any type of amino acids outside of a living system, you get dual chirality. So there's no proteins that would have. This is speculation, by the way. They're speculating. They literally say speculating in the article. So don't let them come lie to you. His name's William. He's a doctor named William. He speculates that Luca got the proteins because Luca didn't have the internal mechanisms to make proteins. So Luca got its proteins from the environment. But the problem is when you make amino acids in a non-living system, you get dual chirality of amino acids. You get left-handed and right-handed amino acids, but only left-handed amino acids make proteins. So you couldn't have had proteins forming in the environment and then helping Luca conduct its metabolism. Because the protein would have never formed, because proteins outside of living systems do mirror chirality, which doesn't work. But he says speculate.
Universal common ancestor. That's what Luca stands for, guys.
Luca, not Lucy. Not Lucy. Luca.
Yeah, it's just universal common ancestor. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just letting you know that article's out, and I want you to understand that in his abstract, he says he speculates. I have never seen someone write a paper and say they're guessing, and then claim a protein completely violates biophysics by having proteins forming outside of a cell, and the proteins are always, amino acids are always left-handed and right-handed when they form in living systems. They always are. And that doesn't make any sense. But I mean, he's an evolutionary biologist. He has to write this stuff.
If you actually look at the majority of the papers, matter of fact, I only know of one that actually does testable and observable science. The rest of them are all inferred. Naturally, I haven't read all of them, so I do reserve the right to be wrong if somebody wants to bring up some actual evidence. But what I've found is when it talks about the collagen and dinosaur tissue, and they always say that the method is iron cross-linking, there's only one paper that actually does scientific test to test their theory, and that's the one with Mary Schweitzer. The rest of the papers, and every one of them that I found, with the exception of hers, they don't do any testing. They just sit around and postulate what they believe the chemistry could do. And it's frustrating when these individuals come up and talk about the papers that say that it's getting it out, and they're not testing any of their hypothesis. They're literally just speculating. So to go off what you said, I 100% believe you, because I've noticed that a lot. A lot of the evolutionary papers now are getting away from testing and just talking about what they believe, which is not science.
That is bothering me because that's not right. That's not science. That is bothering me because I've never seen a scientist in their absence say speculate. I've never seen, but I'm seeing it now. But in the past, I've never seen a scientist say speculate. They say this is what happened and this is what I observed. They don't make statements like I speculate. That's weird to me, and it disturbs me because then he said it's 400 different proteins that would have needed to help Luca operate, but the simplest cells require 2,000 unique enzymes and proteins to operate. The simplest cells today, I'm talking about bacteria, the simplest form of bacteria requires at least 2,000 different proteins to operate. If the simplest cells today require at least 2,000 different unique proteins to operate, and he's in his claim, he's speculating that the 400 different mechanisms that Luca would have needed to operate, according to his postulation, came from the environment. Well, now one protein forming from the elements is 1 in 10 to the power of 272. That's the odds of one working protein forming spontaneously from the elements. That's for one protein. Okay, that not 2,000 of them. You have to multiply 10 to the power of 272 by 2,000. I don't know what that number is. I had a hard enough time dealing with 10 to the power of 272.
Poly exclusion by a lot of other big words I'm not going to try to say is the name of the paper that they talk about trying to get the chemical mechanism that allows cross-linking that people bring up a lot, saying that this is the mechanism. So I'm with you, man. Yeah, they're starting to get away from actual testable and observable science and then just postulating what they believe happened, and then they're not testing anything.
Yeah, but what you're talking about, see, I will say this one thing about you, Creation. You talk about this stuff like it don't cost millions of dollars. You be talking so calm. I'm like, I need some more pain in your voice when you talk about it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just need more pain in your voice when you talk about this money. This is some money, sir.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a waste of money. Yeah.
It is. It doesn't work. I've done it. There's a lab I work at, and it closed now. And there's another lab that I was working at, and they're closed because they put too much money in abiogenic research, and now they are closed. I don't know what they're gonna do with that building. I see them tearing down walls in there. It might become a script club. I don't know, but they lost their lab. Like, it's in downtown Atlanta. You can't. What you got to do is you got to do abiogenic research as a pet project for fun. You can't do it in any serious capacity and build your career on it. You got to build your career on something else. Because I see some, don't get me wrong, I see some evolutionary biologists that's out there. But when I ask him how he gets his money, what he's doing research on, he's doing research on all these other things. Or she's doing her research on all these other things. None of them hang their hat on making life from non-life. Why? Why won't you hang your hat on it? Because you don't want to be homeless. It's fine. You can say it. Not everybody is man enough to live outside. So I'm telling you, you're going to be outside. Like, you will be homeless trying to do this. I ain't picking at homeless people. I'm picking at scientists who think they can hang their hat on this. You're going to be outside. You and your PhD are going to be at a bus stop. I'm telling you, it is the biggest waste of money. Like, if you saw the money we wasted, you'd be mad at us because some of it's taxpayers' money. It's your money, you know? You'd be mad at us. You'd be like, what? You paid what for what?
You're bringing that up, man. Thank you, sir. All right, guys. If you guys don't know Azra, man, y'all give him a follow. He's a very educated science guy like me, but he's an actual scientist where I'm not. But you guys give him a follow. He's if it's DNA, and I call him up, and he's got it down. He's very educated in the DNA arguments. Very educated in the DNA arguments. All right, guys. Looking for some ops. So if you disagree with the prompt or have any questions, then step up. Do me a favor, guys. Hit the heart and the share. Try to push me out into the algorithm. And we've had some good conversations. So it started off a little bit contentious with some silliness, but we've had some good conversations. So the last several guests have been good conversations. That's what I like. I like the good conversations. I like the individuals that I think that were, reaching people. That's what I want to do. I like owning the atheist too. Don't get it twisted. That's fun too. But obviously, I don't want to do that just every time. I'd much rather prefer when we're having a solid back and forth and we can contend with the arguments. Jay, what's up, brother?
Hey, brother, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, I just had a quick question for you. I was watching your video that you did when you were on a panel with other evolutionists. There was one that had the kind of the fish and the ball, whatever. And
One versus one?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it was like 7 of them against you. But you were bringing up that there was soft tissue that was found from a dinosaur, and that you said that they had found DNA, and they didn't let you expand on it, but you said they didn't have the chemical markers. Did you expand on that a little bit?
The paper, I'll give it to you. I did get it out several times. I actually got them to concede. Well, not every one of them. There was 7 of them, but several of them. There's 3 different videos on that because it was so long. The whole video is on my YouTube channel. But it's 7 of them versus me. And it was a lot of fun because they were very, very contentious. But a couple of them actually did end up ultimately admitting that they are finding dino DNA. Some of them obviously didn't, but some of them did. But there's 3 videos on that on my TikTok here, so you guys can go check that out. All right, so the name of the paper is called The Evidence of Proteins, Chromosomes, and Chemical Markers of DNA in Exquisitely Preserved Dinosaur Cartilage. This was done in 2020. So Mary Schweitzer, she's not a young Earth creationist. She's also the scientist that found the soft tissue. So what they're doing is they're taking 2 chemicals. Let me make sure that I get it right. The 2 chemical, and these chemicals, quote unquote, attach to DNA. The chemicals that they use in the lab is called DI and DAPI. DAPI and PI, propodium iodate. Whatever that is. Anyway, these 2 chemicals attach to DNA. And to simplify it, let's imagine that you have a chemical that if it attaches to DNA, you can shine a black light on it and it'll glow in the dark, right? So it reacts. That's not what happens, but just to oversimplify it, the chemicals react to DNA, letting you know that DNA is present by the reaction. And that's these 2 chemicals. So what they did is they found the soft tissue inside of a dinosaur fossil. So they didn't go to like a rock part. They went to the soft tissue, which if anything was going to be preserved, it would be preserved in the soft tissue. So they went to the nucleus of a cell, which is where the DNA is housed. And then they did these 2 different chemicals. Now, both of the chemicals react to DNA separately. So it's like a checks and balances. If it happens once, then it could be because of something else. But then you use another chemical, it also reacts to DNA, showing it that it's DNA. And an effort for the chemical to react to DNA, the DNA has to be double helixed, meaning it looks like a ladder that's been twisted and turns up. The outside of the ladder would be the helix, and then the inside of the steps would be base pairs, right? So in an effort for the chemicals to attach to DNA, it has to be double helixed and 6 base pairs in length. Or if it's any shorter than that, for the most part, the chemicals won't react to the DNA. So when they put it inside of the dinosaur, sure enough, it reacted. And so they're finding dinosaur DNA. Now, I don't want to make a claim that they're not claiming. So it's not sequenceable DNA. So they're not reading the DNA. And that's why most people don't know about this, because the paper is calling it at the very beginning of the paper, they're calling it chemical markers of DNA. So because they can't sequence it, they're being very cautious to announce to the world that, quote unquote, they're finding DNA. But if you read the paper, they're clearly finding DNA. They even say things like, with people, it's not contamination. They say that, let me go to the exact quote, contamination is not a plausible explanation in this case. And to this date, the possible preservation of original proteins and DNA in deep time has not been convincingly eliminated with data. It literally states that the material that they're testing with the DA and the DAPI is confirmed that it's dinosaurian in origin. So the problem is like when they found soft tissue, a lot of scientists come out and said, no, that's actually contamination from bacteria. It's biofilm. And then later tests actually showed that no, it's actually original to the dinosaur. So this paper is actually, they're saying that they're finding DNA. And in fact, here's the quote from the paper. This not only supports that the compound within these cells is chemically consistent with DNA, but that the material is double-stranded and at least 6 base pairs in length. That's DNA, right? Proteins is not double helixed. So that's DNA. So there you go. They're finding DNA in dinosaurs. Where was this published? You can go on PubMed, but it's the same scientist that published it. She actually works out of I think it's North Carolina University. But again, I think it's PubMed where you can find the paper. I can give you the link if you'd like. I just have to turn my camera around. Yeah, Mary Schweitzer. And again, the name of the paper is Evidence, Proteins, Chromosomes, and Chemical Markers of DNA in Exquisitely Preserved Dinosaur Cartilage 2020.
Because typically your proteins, they stay outside of the...
Talking about the nucleus, yeah. Well, the thing about it is
it can be inside the DNA. Is that right?
I don't know if regardless, it's not the proteins, right? Proteins are not double helixed. Yeah, gotcha. Mary Schweitzer said there is dino DNA. Well, I don't want to misrepresent the claim, guys. So let me be very, very specific, okay? I am outright claiming that they have found DNA. That's my claim. The reason I'm claiming that is because there's no plausible explanation as to why. So you take 2 chemical compounds that react to DNA. You go to the nucleus of, and you guys should go to this paper. They got like pictures. They got pictures of the cells dividing, and then when the thing unalived, the cells didn't finish dividing, and they show you where the chemical markers are reacting inside the nucleus of the cell. So that's where DNA is housed. So, they go to the place where DNA is at with chemical markers that go to DNA. The paper literally states that contamination is not plausible in this experiment. They ruled out contamination, so it's not an outside factor causing it. And they go to the nucleus of a cell where you find DNA. They put a chemical marker in there that reacts to DNA, and it reacts positively, showing that there's DNA still in there. And then they put another chemical marker in there to confirm it, and it reacts to DNA, showing that there's DNA in there. And then it has to be at least double. I'll read it again. This is literally the claim of the paper. This is what it says. This not only supports that the compound within the cell is chemically consistent with DNA, but the material is double-stranded and at least a minimum of 6 base pairs. That's literally DNA, right? That's DNA. So there's nothing else it could be. So when you say, is Mary Schweitzer making the claim? Mary Schweitzer's claim is that we're finding the chemical markers of DNA. But that's DNA. That's what they're finding, right? So I don't want to misrepresent her claim, but that's what it is.
Okay, brother. And you said that you have all 3 of those videos, because I think I've only watched 2 of them. But you have them on your YouTube channel. Is it the same name as your TikTok?
Yeah. The TikTok, yeah, same name. The TikTok, I had to split it up into 3 videos. So you got part 1, part 2, and part 3. They should be right back to back of each other. And then I did make another one just to show how many times they muted me one time. But part 1 and part 2 and part 3 are all on my TikTok channel. But my YouTube has the whole thing from start to finish. That's unedited.
Okay. All right, I got you, man. Yeah, I'm reading a few books right now, just trying to get caught up on like DNA and biology and stuff like that. I'm reading some books with I think it's written by John Lennox. So he gives me a little fair insight into it. But yeah, no, I appreciate the work you're doing. You're really, really interesting. Yeah, anytime that you are having those moments where you get to go and lay out the case against an opposition, if there's any way of letting us know ahead of time, we'd absolutely love to watch it and be there for the support of you.
That was gonna happen, or my thing is that they were blocking people in that live though, so I did enjoy it because it was 7 of them against me, and it gave me God was clearly with me. I smashed them cats. I don't want to sit here and be conceited, but clearly I smashed them cats. But that being with that being said, a lot of people noticed that I went live in there, so they were coming in the room. And if they said anything if they were in the comments and said, "Hey, Creation's doing a good job," they blocked them and kicked them out. People were gifting me, like the little blue circles you see right here, where people gift the people on the stage. People that gifted me got blocked from there. I end up getting kicked finally, so. It's hard for me to let people know because most of the time I don't last very long in an atheist stage. They usually kick me very quickly.
Yeah, the only way you're going to be able to push back on that is doing what you're doing and having others be more knowledgeable as well. I think it's time to take the microphone from the secular worldview that it's been under for the past 100 years.
Yep, and it's big on TikTok, man. If there's a 9 out of 10 religious TikToks, it could be just my algorithm. Y'all tell me if you find anything else, but 9 of the 10 religious TikToks that I see on here are usually either teaching a false doctrine or outright hating on God.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, I'm heading on a road trip, man. I appreciate it. And I'll continue to check out those videos, support you 100%. If I get any other questions, I'll hit you back up. Thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate you. All right. God bless.
God bless.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Giggly? Say your name right? Giggly, did I say it? Hey, what's up, man?
What's your proof for the flood? And then
I would
fake.
Flood. Okay, I would say that the hydrologic sorting, polystrata fossils, dinosaur boneyards, soft tissue, and DNA fragments being found in dinosaurs. I think that is the best evidence for the flood.
Well, I'm a little tired. It's 4. No, it's 1 in the morning right now. I'm scrolling. Just decided.
Okay. Sure. So I think the best evidence of the flood.
More.
Yeah. So which one would you like to go? Which one would you like to go through? Okay. So hydrologic sorting. When you see the geologic column, all those different layers, that literally happens in water. That's hydrologic sorting. I can make a prediction right now that anywhere on the planet that you're standing at, as long as you're on dry ground and not bedrock, you're going to find those layers. That happens in water. It's called hydrologic sorting. So that's proof of a worldwide flood.
If you think an example. Sorry.
Yeah. You're fine. Let me pull my thing around here. Let me see if I can get you on here. All right, so this behind me is the geologic column, right? Cretaceous, Jurassic, Thoracic, Pleistocene. That's the geologic column. If those layers are millions of years apart, then you can't have a fossil connecting them. So polystrate fossils shows that these layers are not millions of years apart. You know what a polystrate fossil is?
No.
I'll show you. Let me show you what a polystrate fossil is. Let's go. Let me just. All right, so I just Googled polystrate fossils, and then I went to images so you can see all the images. So you can see all of these fossilized trees. They're not always trees, but many times they are. Let me find an easy one to represent. All right, right here's one. All right, so you see this tree right here, right? It's going down through all of the layers. And you can see the different layers, the different lines, those are different layers. So these layers can literally not be millions of years apart if you have a tree that's connecting them, right? That tree did not sit there for 65 million years while the sediment slowly filled up around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a fossilized tree through all of those layers literally prove that these layers are not different ages. They're the same age. Meaning that if they're the same age, this happened in the flood. This is Noah's flood. These layers cannot be different ages. This layer cannot be older than that layer, and this layer be older than that layer if you have a tree connecting them, because the tree is going to rot. It's not going to sit there.
I'm not too educated on this topic. I'm a bit more educated on evolution though, so maybe we can move on to that. If you're fine with that.
I'm fine with that, brother. What's your contention on evolution?
Well, I think it's real.
Okay. So I believe in microevolution. I think that microevolution is testable and observable. So I do not believe in
evolution
macro.
Isn't a thing.
Well, it's created by evolutionary biologists, so it is a thing. Y'all just don't want to use it because you want to try to get a definitional win, but it's absolutely a thing.
Do you know the definition of evolution? Well, no, not the definition. Do you know what evolution actually is?
Do I know what evolution is?
Like how it works.
Yes, I understand your theory. And I understand that most of the time evolutionists will try to get a definitional win to try to stay away from the evidence. So I understand that evolutionists are trying to change the definition to ileofrequency change over time, but I'm not going to grant that, obviously, right? Because I need to see evidence. So I go with the original definitions that they don't like to use anymore. So we shouldn't change definitions to win arguments. We should go with the evidence. So that's really what I like to do, is get straight to the evidence.
Yeah. I'm gonna get out of bed a second. So, you got any arguments?
Yeah, so I concede that microevolution is true. So for macroevolution to be true, it would have to be genetic information gain. I would define that as genetic because you got to be able to pass it on to your children. New information as far as new structures, new functions, new code, and new DNA. And then obviously it'd have to be gained from something that wasn't there before. You and I would agree that if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, that genetic information gained literally happened quadrillions of times, and if evolution is true, then it's still going on today. I just need an example of it that's testable and observable that's not inferred.
So you want an example of evolution? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I want an example of genetic information gained that's testable and observable that's not inferred. Yes, sir.
The Galapagos Islands, you know what they are? The ones with giant turtles and stuff. Well, each island has a different type of bird, and each bird has uniquely adapted beaks. Because if you just chuck the same type of bird, which had a weaker beak, it wouldn't be able to crack open the nuts. But with genetic mutations, which is how they get them new set of genes, it's how they got one made, a bigger beak to break open those nuts, right? So they can eat.
Are you familiar with them? It's called Darwin's finches. Are you familiar that they actually? Finches. Are you familiar that they went back to the island and studied them again?
No.
So yeah, their beak sizes are not based off of genetic mutations. They're based off of the rain. It's the amount of water that the islands get. So if there's a drought, the nuts are harder, so therefore the finches grow a thicker beak to crack the harder nuts. If there's a lot of rain, then the finches will have a softer beak because the nuts are easier to crack. So it actually has to do with the amount of rain that falls, not genetic mutations. So it's not evolution.
Okay. Just got off a flight. Oh, it was a horrible flight as well. It was like 3.5 hours and a baby was crying the entire thing.
Oh, no.
and I just got back, and it's like 1 in the morning. Can't get to sleep.
I gotcha.
I'm gonna try and get to bed now, but nice.
All right, brother. Yeah, all right, man. Nice talking to you, brother. God bless.
See ya.
All right. How do I say this name? How do I say your name, brother? I'm gonna mess that up.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How do I say your name?
Just call me Noor.
Noor, okay. What's up, Noor?
So, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I hope you are. Thanks for asking.
I'm doing good too.
Okay, what you got?
How do you want to start the debate? You want me to... What points do you want me to start with?
Any one of them, man. You tell me which one you want to go with.
Okay, so give me your points about the flood.
The best evidence for the flood?
Yeah, for the big flood.
Hydro-
We are talking about the Noah's Ark.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. So the best evidence that I think for the flood is hydrologic sorting, polystrata fossils, dinosaur bone beds, soft tissue, and DNA found in dinosaurs. I think this is the best evidence for the flood.
So you think that by the flood you made the dinosaurs, like the fossils?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is the best evidence. See, the Bible says that everything outside the boat unalived, and then the fact that we see fossils shows that they unalived in water. You need water to have rapid sediment burial and an effort for fossilization to happen. There's you can have volcanic ash and stuff do it too, but you still need water to literally wash in material and then wash out bone.
Yeah,
so water's required.
I'm
The vast
familiar with
majority of your fossils though are flood based, if you will. So the fact that we can find soft tissue and DNA in dinosaurs shows that they did not live millions of years ago, which fits the flood model. If the flood happened 4,500 years ago, then I can predict that we would still find soft tissue and DNA in them. But you cannot make that same prediction if you believe that they lived 65 million years ago.
I mean, I think you can, because the fossilization process doesn't preserve all the DNA, but preserves some of it, because the inside of the bones, I don't know how you call it in English, it's not my first language, but that contains some genetic information. And by saying that the flood that happened 4,500 years ago, you said, you saying that proves that the dinosaurs also were alive 4,500 years ago, and that's totally not accurate based on the evidence we got due to
I just gave you evidence that shows you, hold on, contend with that what I said. I gave you evidence like soft tissue that shows you that they're not millions of years old. So that is the evidence. We know what the degradation rates of collagen is. So what mechanism do you use in an effort to get it out to 65 million years? And I see somebody in the comments saying iron cross-linking. If you actually go to the paper about iron cross-linking, that's not it. So.
Okay, so what I can tell you about the 4,500 years ago being inaccurate is, like, when you open a rock, you can see like the layers, and you can predict, scientists can predict kind of how old the fossils are, and that would not indicate to be such a short time the depth of the fossils. If you get what I mean. Not the part of the genetic tissue, I'm not that educated in that, but in the geology part, I can make an argument for that.
All right, let me help with this guy right here, because I said iron cross-linking is not the mechanism, and then he said I'm being dishonest. So really quickly, because we're still on this topic too, the same thing. So let me go ahead and take you to the paper instead of just talking about it, because he says I'm being dishonest. Let's find out if I'm being dishonest or not. Let's go there. Let's see. The name of the paper this is literally the paper on iron cross-linking. It's called A Role Iron and Oxygen Chemistry Play in Preserving Soft Tissue, Cells, and Molecules from Deep Time. It literally states in the very first words that you read in the paper, the very first words, it states in the abstract, the persistence of original soft tissue in Mesozoic fossil bone is not explained by current chemical degradation models. There you go. So the paper that you cited, the other guy in the comments who says I'm being dishonest, you said iron cross-linking is the mechanism. Uh-oh, the paper says it doesn't fit their degradation models. So that's not the mechanism, Hero. I think I would trust a little something more than Google. Maybe you think that paper is wrong because it's a little older. Let's go to the iron cross-linking paper that they did in 2019. The name of this paper is called The Mechanisms of Soft Tissue and Protein Preservation in Tyrannosaurus rex, 2019. It says data supporting endogeny has been viewed with skepticism in part because no mechanism has been found that has been identified, that could reasonably contribute to such preservation. So iron cross-linking doesn't get you there, champ. Now, if you think I'm being dishonest, then you got a problem because I literally just quoted the paper. And he left. What source is that? That's Mary Schweitzer. I literally just gave you the name of the paper, bro. That's the source. I gave you the name of the paper. The scientist who does it is Mary Schweitzer. She's the one that found the soft tissue. She's also the one that found DNA in dinosaurs. So I literally just named the source. I named 2 papers. That's the source. If you need me to name them again or say them again, I got no problem. Yep. When people think that so the problem is usually people Google what gets the soft tissue out to 65 million years. Google says, oh, iron cross-linking does it. Unfortunately, when you go to the paper actually says, they say this can play a role. You know, of course, the paper doesn't agree with me. They're not young Earth creationists, but I don't care if they believe that they're 65 million years. I go with the science. And literally the paper says that iron cross-linking may play a role, and iron cross-linking definitely can help preserve things for longer, but it just doesn't fit the degradation rates, meaning that it might help preserve it, but it's not going to get it to 65 million years. That's just the soft tissue. You got a real problem when it comes to DNA. Yep. DNA is absolutely, it's impossible to survive 65 million years. That's true. So the fact that they're finding it clearly means that it's not 65 million years old. So you're 100% right. Wants to come back another time? Yeah, man, I got you. I understand. Appreciate it. Yeah, soft tissue cannot last 60. We know what the degradation rates are. Like, I can take you to other papers, scientifically peer-reviewed papers, that literally tell you what the degradation rates of collagen is. And yeah, man, appreciate you. It tells you what the degradation rates of collagen is and tells you what the degradation rates of DNA is. And if you're going to say that these things are millions of years old, then you have to give me the half-life. And what causes the half-life to last so long? Because we know what the half-life of DNA is. The half-life of DNA in dinosaur, I can take you to the paper again, is about 527 years in fossil bones, right? The DNA is only 527 years as far as a half-life, very short. So that means that it literally cannot go to 65 million years. So the fact that we're finding DNA, boom, clears it up. Yeah, people really are this dumb, but I mean, I try not to say they're dumb. It's just that mainstream science, they're putting it out there, but most people don't know about it because a lot of people don't know about it because they don't have a mechanism. You think finding dinosaur DNA would be like a huge discovery everybody would know about. But the reason they're not announcing it and it's all over the place is because they don't have a mechanism to get it out. So the problem is, if you're finding dinosaur DNA without a mechanism to get the DNA 65 million years, you got a problem. So that's why they're not on Front Street out here telling everybody, hey, we found dinosaur DNA. They're not telling everybody that. I'm not saying they're hiding it. It's just not going around like you think it would, literally because they don't have a mechanism to get it out there. That's my opinion. But, I mean, they're finding dinosaur DNA, so if you come up with another reason as to why most people don't know about it, I wouldn't, say they're dumb, but they don't know about it. That's my opinion and it's wrong. Okay, well, did you know about dinosaur DNA? Yeah, that's my point. So you think that when you find soft tissue in dinosaur DNA, that would be like, hey, that's big. That's big, right? I mean, I reserve the right to be wrong with that, but I think most people would think that was a really, really cool finding. If you find dinosaur skin, it makes the news all over the place, right? They found that preserved Ankylosaurus or whatever that was in the coal seams, and you can see its eyeballs and its skin and its the spikes on its back. That clearly went around like wildfire. That was everywhere. You don't think them finding dinosaur DNA is big? Yep. I make a prediction. Now, I could be wrong on this. This is my prediction, and I reserve the right to be wrong on it, but I make a prediction that within 20 years, they'll be able to sequence it. Finding DNA, specialized age, there's no half-life of DNA by itself. Okay, there's no half-life of DNA. Let's go to the papers. Since there's no half-life of DNA, you guys, man, I'm telling you, that's okay. I don't want to put any ill will on it. There's nothing wrong with just not knowing something. The name of this paper, and I don't go to, these are not Christian sources. I use secular sources for the most part. Not afraid of it, but I know you guys are not going to go with Christian sources. So the name of the paper is, quote, The Half-Life of DNA in Bone, Measuring Decay Kinetics in 158 Dated Fossils. That's the name of the paper. You can literally go there yourself, and it talks about the half-life of DNA being 521 years inside of bones. So they looked at the 158 fossil bones, and then they used extinct moa birds in New Zealand, and you can look at the methodology and all of that stuff to get the decay rates. But yes, DNA has a half-life. I don't know what you mean by they don't. They clearly do. DNA, the half-life of DNA is 500 and some years. Usually, most of the time when people mention half-life, they're usually talking about radiometric dating. So that's what people think, that DNA or something else doesn't have a half-life because it's not radiometric. It's not radioactive. But half-life just means that half of it's gone in the cycle of its lifespan, right? If I live to be 100, then 50 years would be my half-life. So yes, DNA does have a half-life. You're just, no disrespect, you're just wrong about that. Yeah, I gave the definition of half-life. It's half of its life. That's what half-life means. There is no half-life of DNA. That's what you just read. Half-life of DNA in bones and fossils incur. What? There is no half. Guy, the name of the paper is The Half-Life of DNA in Bone. What are you talking about? There's no half-life. Come on, guys. Don't be ignorant. I can literally take you to the paper. The Half-Life of DNA is literally the name of the paper. I'm talking about there is no half-life of DNA. It's a very strange argument. I'm not understanding what I'm reading. Caleb, come up then, man. You're not making any sense. Tell me what I'm misunderstanding. I can take you to the paper. It talks about the degradation rates of DNA. All right, so what am I not understanding?
Okay. So when we talk about the half-life of DNA, right, let's just assume that it's like half of the DNA coming apart by the backbone, right? So you need some sort of degradation mechanism, first of all, right? Because things don't just happen on their own, right? And also atoms and certain molecules don't just degrade on their own. And then on top of that, right?
Hold on.
If we're talking about...
Let's contend with that. What do you mean they don't? That's Newton's second law of thermodynamics. They absolutely degrade. Everything does.
No, that's not
on
the
its
second law
own.
of thermodynamics. That's incorrect.
Yes, it is. No, it's not. What are you talking about?
The second law of thermodynamics is that the entropy of the universe is always increasing or is the same.
Okay, where are you getting the DNA doesn't degrade on its own?
Well, here's the thing. When I say on its own, I'm saying completely isolated, right? So you need to specify, is this in the presence of DNases? Is this in the presence of exonucleases, endonucleases? Is it in the presence of water? Are there certain ions around? So when I say there's no half-life of DNA, there's no half-life
if there was
of DNA
nothing around,
just on its own. So that's why that paper that you just read,
that's not,
the half-life
where are you
of
getting
DNA
that?
in bone, in fossils.
Where are you getting that? If there was nothing around, you're saying DNA would not degrade?
If there's nothing around, no.
Nothing around. Okay, so
No.
that literally breaks Newton's second law of thermodynamics.
No, it
Where
doesn't.
are you getting this? Where are you
No, it
getting
doesn't,
this?
because the entropy of the
Where
universe
are?
would be
I'm
the
going to ask you
same.
again, Caleb. I need you to answer
I'm getting
the
it from the
question
second
directly,
law of
please.
thermodynamics. Do you know the second law of thermodynamics?
Yes, everything tends
Okay,
to
so
decay
state the
towards
equation.
chaos.
State the equation.
Not
and
stays
state
the
the
same.
equation. State the equation.
I'm going to ask you one more time.
State the
Where you're
equation.
getting that DNA,
The second
and if
law
you don't
of
answer me,
thermodynamics.
you're gone.
The second law.
Here's
of
your
thermodynamics.
opportunity.
I just
Okay,
stated it.
how is the second? Okay, what's the second law of thermodynamics? What is it?
Delta S of the universe is greater than or equal
Okay.
to 0. That is the second law of thermodynamics.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so how does
Delta
this mean
S
that
of the
DNA
universe
doesn't
is greater
degrade?
than or equal to 0. So if there's no change, it's 0, which is greater than or equal to 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to 0? Yes, it is. Thank you for proving my point.
No, I still need to know what experiment. Show me the example of DNA not degrading, and if there wasn't nothing around, it wouldn't, because literally everything tends towards chaos and decays in the universe.
That's not what the
It
second
entropies
law of
out.
thermodynamics says.
Oh
It
my
doesn't say everything
gosh!
decays.
Give
That's not how the second law of
me the
thermodynamics works.
source. Give me the source, please. I've given you the source of DNA
Okay.
degradation rates and where it's
So we're gonna
decaying.
think.
Give
We're
me
gonna
your
think about
source,
this, right?
please.
Yep, we're gonna think about this. So if you have DNA, right, just in a vacuum, there's nothing around, right?
Okay. Okay.
Then are there any forces acting on it, right, outside? Is there anything interacting with it if you have a single DNA just in a vacuum?
Okay. No.
I'm asking you, do you have anything acting upon it, like anything outside?
I said no. I said no.
Okay, no, right? So if
Right.
there's nothing that can happen to the system, right, then there's no change to the system. So that means delta anything is equal to 0. So if delta S is equal to 0, then that still aligns with the second law of thermodynamics.
You're getting this at because when I type in does DNA degrade in a vacuum and without any external forces on it, I still get yes. So where are you getting your sources?
How is it degrading? Where does it say?
That's literally Newton's second law. So where are you getting your sources?
Newton's second law is not things just degrade. That's not what the second law says.
It's things falling apart, turning to chaos. You have to have a
It's not
mechanism
things
to
falling
overcome
apart,
entropy.
because things can come
You
together and still
brother,
obey the second
answer
law.
my question one more time. Where
Things can
are you
come
getting
together.
your sources?
Because things can come together and still
All right,
obey the
thank you,
second
man.
law.
I appreciate you coming. Next time, please bring your sources because you're not supporting your claim. You know that's my rules. Nuh-uh is not an argument. Nuh-uh is not an argument. I'm giving you sources after source after source, and all you're giving me is what you're saying, and you're not backing any of it up. And you're just factually inaccurate. Factually inaccurate. So you make a claim, you have to support the claim. Let me show you how to do this. DNA degrades and it has a half-life. Here's the name of the scientific paper. Here's the test that they did. Blah, blah, blah. That's how you do it, like I did. That's it. What you don't do is come up and say that the equation D equals 5, 6, 7, whatever the message you said, means that DNA doesn't degrade. What? Where are you getting that from? Where's the source? It doesn't degrade in a vacuum. Yes, it does. Where are you getting your source? And you cannot give me the source. That's why the conversation ended. So frustrating, guys. Come on. You got to be able to support your claim. You cannot come up on a stage, make a claim, and then fail to support the claim, and then still insist that the claim is true. That's literally one of my rules. Come on. All right, guys. I appreciate the conversation. Been doing this now for, let's see, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Host can't even restate 3 symbols. I don't know what that means. Host can't restate 3 symbols. What? Brother, I support my claims. But if I make a claim, I support it. You're not. That's very frustrating to talk to you if you can't support your claim, dude. It's ridiculous. You have to be able to tell me where you're getting your information. Okay, saying nuh-uh is still not a refutation. I literally gave you the name of the paper, and all you've given me is nuh-uh. So, all right, guys. Like I said, I've been doing this now for 2.5 hours, so if I don't have anybody else, then I just like to say that everyone, when I do these lives and you guys give me the stickers and stuff like this, it doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate it. You guys are very generous, and I put it right back in the ministry, and I thank you for it. Everyone coming up and agreeing with me, or even the guys that disagree with me, I appreciate you too. But when people come up and say the nice words, thank you. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it doesn't go unappreciated. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's because of you guys that I continue to grow, and I thank you again. I'll probably be doing lives a couple more times. The wife's out of town handling some business, so I will not doing too much around here. So I'll probably be going live a couple times this weekend. So don't know exactly any times, but just here and there. So look, be on the lookout for it. I appreciate it. Godspeed. And as always, Mr. Allen, you get the last word.
Yeah, pretty good this evening, I think. You know.
Amen.
So what you plan?
Thank you, sir. Nothing. I plan on chilling. I got my grass mowed this evening before the rains, or this afternoon, excuse me, before the rain. So hopefully I'll be able to sit back and chill, play a little Xbox, and not do a whole lot of nothing. Maybe do some studying and stuff like that. But other than that, hopefully not do a whole lot of nothing.
Okay, sounds good. May God bless you and keep you going strong.
All right. God bless, guys. I'll see y'all later.